Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
And it's got so many cool applications, and it's, like you said, launched on Wednesday, so there's so much going on right now, and so many different things that you can do to create your sports content the way you see it, the way you like it.
What if I wanted to show my hoo-ha? Could I do that?
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, a Wednesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. The next 4 hours, we've got you a lot of stuff to get into today. We will hear from Andy Reid coming up later on this morning. Good morning, good afternoon. That will not take place today. But we'll hear from Andy Reid today around 11:45, 11:50 or so. No Patrick Mahomes. He will talk on Friday in Germany with the media availability for the Dolphins and the Chiefs. So Patrick Mahomes will talk on Friday, but Andy Reid today. We'll see what players may or may not be at the podium with Andy Reid or after Andy Reid today. We will talk with Cynthia Freeland coming up at 11 o'clock, NFL Network analytics expert. We'll just say, what? What happened? Bet you didn't see that one coming. Of the 50,000 times, how many times did the model say the Broncos would win 24-9, huh?
How many times do you have to run the model before it gives you 5 turnovers? Like, how rare is that? I don't really know.
You know what? That is a really interesting question. I'm going to ask that. I'm writing that down. I'm going to write it down in my diary. Josh made a good point. Star red letter day for him.
Is your hand like cramping trying to write that because it's never happened before?
It's like in Liar Liar. The pen is blue.
Hey.
The pen is royal blue.
Just maybe write Dylan. Maybe Dylan had that point.
Oh, Dylan made a good point.
There
today.
We go. That's easy. That flows.
Day number 78. Dylan made a good point today.
Incredible hitting streak for Dylan.
Yes. I wrote it down. It's down. It's there in pen now. It means that I will ask her unless I forget and gloss right over it, which has happened before with different bullet points.
That's not something you or I ever do.
Never. Mick Schaefer will join us, not in person. He will join us.
Why not?
In Germany this afternoon. His time. Actually, it would be early evening.
Yeah.
It would be definitely afternoon, but it'd be after 6 as well. This evening, we'll see where he's going to go to dinner and what his plans are for his evening when we talk to him at 1 o'clock today. So we'll get the lowdown of Germany with Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 sports director, today in the 1 o'clock hour. 913-912-4810 is the text line. 913-912-4810, the text line. A lot of Halloween costumes for athletes last night showing up. Nobody has ever been Slender Man better than Victor Wembanyama.
100%.
He was the perfect. He didn't have. You know what? If you put that guy out at a Savannah Banana game, you would think he was the stilts guy.
You would.
Oh, like it. Look at the stilts guys up there swinging the bat. Guy's got no strike zone. He's just up there swinging the bat. Stilts guy. No, it's Victor Wembanyama, who would be terrible in baseball because his strike zone is to the upper deck. You know, working the knees is actually the catcher standing up.
It really would.
Catcher could not crouch if you were trying to work the knees on Victor Wembanyama. The umpire would have to get on a step stool to really get in and see what the up. You know what? That was right at the knees. That's a pretty easy call.
Robo-umps would even have a hard time, I think. Like, I don't miscalibrating.
They would call a strike at his ankles.
Yeah,
no, that was right over the plate.
Well, yeah,
Perfect pitch, right at his ankles.
For almost everybody.
Except
for literal Slender Man.
Yeah, Slender Man there. I thought Paul George made an unfortunate misstep in his Halloween costume. Did you see what Paul George went
I don't know if I saw
with?
Paul George's.
Paul George showed up as Waldo.
No, I did.
And come playoff time, that's going to be a misfortunate issue for him come playoff time because
can't give a layup like that.
That will be used a lot against him in the playoffs. If he disappears, they'll go, oh, remember, nobody can find Waldo. Here's that. And then did you see DeAndre Jordan?
I sure did.
Dressed up as Taylor Swift for Halloween. He did not dress up as Travis Kelce with somebody who was Taylor Swift with him. Nope, he showed up in the Chiefs jacket and the blonde wig, dressed as actually Taylor Swift.
Did you
well
see,
done, DeAndre Jordan.
Did you see Woody Page's costume?
Yes, I did.
Also Taylor Swift.
Also Taylor Swift.
A little less well executed, perhaps.
My wife sent me a picture. Yes. Less. Who knows? I don't know.
They're both so good, man. They're both so funny.
Woody Page doesn't have a full beard like DeAndre Jordan
That's a
does.
that's a great point.
It's just funnier seeing it on a 7 foot tall basketball player rather than Woody Page.
But also an old man. Both are very funny.
That's true.
Both made me very, very happy. Both very well executed.
That's true. My wife sent me a picture of a family that was Donna Kelce, Travis Kelce, and Chiefsaholic in the wolf costume.
That's very good.
So that was good. And then in our neighborhood, who won the contest? We didn't have a contest, but just like the best dressed, the best outfit, I should say, the best costume was my neighbor Brad, who dressed up as Yukon Cornelius from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and it was perfect. And the reason it was the best of the entire night is because how original that is to dress up as Yukon Cornelius from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. He had a pickaxe. He had his backpack. He had everything. He's already got a big beard.
I was going to
anyway.
ask, was it an original beard?
He's already got a big beard.
Okay.
He was wearing the big muffs.
Dude.
It was awesome. I'm like, yeah, this guy walked up and I'm like, oh my God. Like,
Mr. Cornelius.
I don't know the name. I know the name now after people talk. I'm like, I don't know the name, but oh my God.
You like to be like silver and gold, silver and gold.
Exactly right. Well done. That's why he was singing it the whole night. Duh.
It's tricking and treats.
Yes,
tricking and treats.
Yeah, so we had a fun night. That's
awesome.
Got a lot of candy. Everett got tons of candy for me, so that was cool. He got some for himself as well. He's like, man, I remember this bag being full last night. What happened? How is it half full now? Well, you know what? At least you're optimistic about it, Bubba.
That's great, man.
At least you're looking at the world from the bright side. You always wake up on the right side of the bed. Love
beautiful.
that. Love that for you, man. And you guys gave away all your candy last night.
A good portion of our candy was consumed. To go back and fact check a fact or fiction from yesterday.
Please.
I said, fact or fiction, I will eat more candy than we will give out on Halloween night. And let me check. I did the math earlier if I can get my little scrap paper
You counted
here.
pieces of candy?
I did because I wanted to make sure I could confirm this. And we gave out 0 candies.
Okay.
And I ate, greater than 0 candies were consumed by me. So that was, in fact, a fact, as we discussed it being yesterday.
Very good.
And we watched Nope, the Jordan Peele movie. It's the most recent one. I saw Get Out, didn't see the middle one, Us, I think, and watched Nope. Spooky little film there, but also very good. So I'm glad we got to watch that.
And you didn't have
and
to...
we're interrupted by any trick-or-treaters.
You didn't have to get up and go and take care of anybody that's knocking on the door, nothing like that.
No, and I got to stop watching the baseball game in about the 3rd or 4th inning.
That's right. It's 5-0, 7-0, 10-0.
That's when I left.
All right. Well,
10 was good for me. I went, hey, 7-11 at the end, right? Gas station score.
Only thing I got to watch for is to see if the single game parlay comes through.
Yep.
It did not.
Well.
How do you score 11 runs and 2 of your players that have total bases for the Rangers or even an RBI don't get on base or have an RBI? That's weird. But it doesn't matter. Does not matter. 913-912-4810 is the text line. It matters for the Rangers and Diamondbacks because your D-backs are in some trouble.
Well, look, I mean, they play their best in win or go home games on the road. So as long as they don't lose tonight, if they, Jason, as long as this series can get back to Texas, I think the Diamondbacks are in great shape.
That's right. Well, nobody wins at home. It's just one of those crazy things.
That's how that works.
913-912-4810 is the text line. 913-912-4810. I did not see as many Kelce Taylor Swift's outfits or costumes last night that I thought I would.
Weirdly, I mean, I remember us talking about that, like the moment the relationship was rumored, and it got so big so fast that I think it became almost cliche within like a couple of weeks. There were a couple of good ones. I saw somebody went like completely beat for beat in that picture, famously with McCole Hardman and his partner, cropped out of the other side of it. Like they had like the Travis Kelce shirt, a very good replica of the sweater that Taylor Swift was wearing. But it's almost too popular, I think, which is incredible.
Yeah, it's become too popular. It's no longer a fun, unique. It's just like what everybody else is doing.
Same with a lot of Barbie costumes. You get a few of them and some people who do it really well. But it was like, well, that peaked a little too early. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce could have kept it under wraps for another month or so. Maybe that would have happened more.
I saw an original Barbie costume last night that it was a girl dressed up as Barbie, but she was still in the box.
See, that's awesome.
It was the Barbie still in the box. I'm
That's
like, you know what?
very
That's how you
cool.
do that. That's how you do that.
Do not plan on eating or drinking very much, I suppose. Did she get like her hands out or something, like the armholes?
I only saw it from a distance, and I'm like,
sure.
yeah, she's got the box around the Barbie. That's
Trying to
cool.
like scan the barcode or something and like check
Yes.
the price or anything.
Yes. All right, 913-912-4810. Let's get into the conversation today. Darius Harris back with the Chiefs. He was signed off of a practice squad and some team in the AFC West. They just keep exchanging players. It's kind of like just some football cards that you're just trading. Like, I'll give you the candy. Last night, you sort of sit down and start trading candy. I'll give you this. You give me that. Okay, cool. So the Chiefs signed Darius Harris off the practice squad, which is a much more palatable signing than Ben Niemann.
I fully agree.
So hearing that Ben Niemann was being discussed by the Chiefs and they were kicking the tires on Ben Niemann, and they go with Darius Harris, I will gladly take Darius Harris, who played last year, who I think played well in spurts, played in the Super Bowl, is not a full year removed from playing with the Chiefs, familiar with everything, and played with everybody on the defense except for Tranquil and Mike Edwards.
Yeah, wow, you're right.
So he comes right in and is able to really just fit in as well as anybody could if you were to make the move, even more than Ben Niemann, who's, yes, been on the team for a while, but not a year ago. And Darius Harris, a guy who, we talked with Matt Derrick last year during training camp, and he's like, no, Darius Harris is going to make this team. And he did, and he was a fine player. And I don't feel like Darius Harris on this team is like, oh, my God, I hope he's not in the game. If Darius Harris is in the game over Jack Cochran, I feel better about the defense there. And you know what? Steve Spagnuolo might go, no, actually, Jack Cochran played perfect football against the Broncos and what he's done. And, it's – we got to go this route or that route. That's why he's out there, whatever. He also put Sorensen out there over Juan Thornhill at times. So, it's not a perfect way of going about just finding the best players on the field. But Darius Harris signing. And the next question is, as we both sort of came to the same agreement with Ben Niemann or Darius Harris, okay, give me Darius.
Yep.
Hell, I'll take Darius Rucker. Ben Niemann at that point.
Oh, Ben, not this week. You won't.
Oh, well, the Dolphins make him cry.
You do not want the Dolphins to make you cry this weekend.
No, the Dolphins make him cry.
I know, but you don't. So you do not want him on the Chiefs this weekend.
That's a great point.
The Dolphins will be making him cry.
Go to hell, Darius. Not Harris.
No, Darius Harris, go to Germany.
Yeah. Yes.
Darius Rucker, go to hell.
The move there, but then the next level to this would be, is this a concern for the Willie Gay injury, or is this just the roster move for Nick Bolton?
Yep.
And I don't know. I am hoping that it is the latter, that they were going to make a move for Nick Bolton anyway, because they hadn't done that yet. They elevated Deion Bush in terms of special teams and things like that. But to take the linebacker spot on this team for Nick Bolton, they had to make a move. So both could be true. Like the roster move for Nick Bolton, while also you're concerned about Willie Gay. We'll find out today from Andy Reid. Maybe not the complete and total details, but we'll get an idea of Willie Gay. Is he going to practice today? What's the day to day? Is it traveling to Germany?
Exactly.
All of that. So we'll get an idea of Willie Gay's injury today. Again, he did not return to the game. Didn't play the second half at all on Sunday against Denver. But yeah, Nick Bolton goes down, and the conversation last week is, okay, they've got depth. Drew Tranquil has filled that role. They've got guys that can play. The concern would be another injury. But right now, as it stands, you're able to withhold that injury to Nick Bolton. You can overcome that. Willie Gay being out an extended period of time starts to really cause concern because of Miami, because of Philadelphia that's going to run the ball too. I mean, for different reasons. Miami that wants to spread you sideline to sideline, and Philadelphia that wants to run the ball, down your throat and also, hit you with big pass plays.
It's the two games on the schedule you would least want to be without, specifically Willie Gay, and certainly also the combo of Bolton and Gay both. Like you said, we're on the same page that Darius Harris makes us feel better than a Ben Neiman reunion would have. And, when we talked about the Bolton non-roster moves from last week, we noted that the Chiefs had a lot of linebackers on the roster, but Cam Jones has played 2 defensive snaps this year now, and I think both of those are probably against the Broncos, although I haven't double-checked that.
I saw him out there for at least 1 defensive snap.
So I think that might be the entirety there.
I would guess
but,
that.
But he's played 122 special team snaps. Just pretend he's Marcus Kemp or whatever, right? Like he's Chris Lamons, whatever. He's there for special teams right now.
Yeah.
Darius Harris can play teams also, and Jack Cochran's been playing special teams, but Cochran is the first guy up next in the actual defensive rotation. Maybe we don't need to think about Cam Jones as a linebacker, think about him as a special teamer, and now you've got Darius Harris back, which I do think has 2 real advantages for the short turnaround. Is, like you said, it's the familiarity in the system, but it's the versatility across any number of positions, and it's that specific hopeful ability to be able to communicate with this defense when the Miami Dolphins are about to be on his head two practices after signing back with the Chiefs. There's going to be a lot of motion that Miami shows that's going to cause a lot of confusion and a lot of passing stuff off defensively. And you need linebackers who are not going to have to stop and freeze and think and process and then call something out. It's a spot they're going to miss Nick Bolton. The athleticism to overcome that, they're missing with Willie Gay being now a question mark. Again, hopefully it's good news and he's practicing today. Would love that. But this move makes a lot of sense. It does also make me more concerned that Willie Gay won't be out there, because even though Darius Harris played a real role on this team last year, Jack Cochran was in training camp. He has been getting reps throughout the course of this season. The one other thing with Harris that I was surprised about when they didn't bring him back this offseason, going back to what Matt said before last camp or in the midst of last training camp, I thought they'd bring him back because he was a perfectly solid player who could do some things. And like Matt said, he was the backup Mike. He was the next guy with the green dot behind Nick Bolton. Mm-hmm. Well, Drew Tranquil ended up basically making that little feather in Darius Harris's cap more or less irrelevant. But now, maybe you've only got one Mike linebacker you're really comfortable with. Or maybe it is still Cochran next up because he's been getting the calls and the schematic changes all offseason. And Darius Harris is just a guy you could throw in any number of spots. So I am glad that they made that move. It makes me feel a little bit better about that specific depth there being bolstered again. But you don't want to see him and Drew Tranquil and Jack Cochran all on the field at the same time.
Yeah.
It's the group that was so excellent both at the top and through depth is now just excellent through depth, which is now potentially all starting. It's a little concerning.
Yeah, in a couple of weeks, if you lose your starting linebackers, Nick Bolton and Willie Gay, when we talked about maybe the best linebacker unit in the NFL, and you lose your starters, that's rough in a matter of a couple of weeks. We know Nick Bolton is not lost for the year. Mm-hmm. I don't think Willie Gay would be lost for the year, but he didn't play after he left the game. So we'll see what the latest is with that. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I'm going to talk some college football. So one of the things that we want to discuss on the other side is KU gets the win over Oklahoma. It's already banked. K-State heading to Texas, Mizzou heading to Georgia. If we were to assume that K-State and Mizzou both win this weekend, I want to discuss what the 3 victories for the local teams, those marquee victories, would mean in terms of who has the biggest gain. What does it mean more to whether a program or this year of those 3 schools if Oklahoma, Texas, and Georgia all end up losing in a matter of 2 weeks to the 3 local schools? We'll talk about that. And Tyreek Hill talking ahead of the Dolphins matchup with the Chiefs. And he was on the I Am Athlete podcast and had a number of things to say and to talk about, including some more information on how the trade went down, discusses the difference between Patrick Mahomes and Tua, and discusses the difference of playing for Andy Reid and playing for Mike McDaniel. So we'll talk about that as the show progresses. More Zone right after this. All right, welcome back here in the zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Big shout out to Google Fiber as always. Enough unlimited internet for everyone in your home and all the devices. It was the, Sports Equinox the other night. If you have cut the cord and you've got many different streams that are happening like we had at our house, you need a reliable internet service provider and 1 gig internet. The same price since 2012, and internet so easy to set up and use. You may never need the award-winning customer service at all. We needed it once, and it was quick and easy, and it was resolved very quickly. They also have 5 gigs available as well right now. That is Google Fiber. Big shout-out to them being a part of the zone. All right, coming up this weekend, it is a big weekend for all 3 of the local schools because KU, coming off the win against Oklahoma, this is one of those to where you're heading on the road, a tough place to play. Iowa State's playing better football. They're in first place. This would have letdown written all over it. Lance Leipold talking about that this week a couple of different times of, how does this team respond, and even saying that they haven't responded well in the past after big wins. And this is a test to see the maturity, the growth. How do you respond after a huge win like that against Oklahoma? You are 2.5-point dogs to Iowa State. You are not favored. You are not the favorite in this game. They are. Vegas thinks they win in this game. So you got to be ready to go. But they've already accomplished the win against Oklahoma. Mizzou and K-State have the big one ahead of them. So the bird in the hand, which when we talked about more likely KU, Mizzou, or K-State to win, I went with KU just because they're the only ones playing the home game against Oklahoma. And that's one of the things that ended up happening. But Braden Gall also said last week, yes, what's more likely to happen? KU over Oklahoma, K-State over Texas, Missouri over Georgia. And he's like, yes, I can make a strong case for all of them. But KU's already got that. So if we assume that, and just play this hypothetical, that K-State goes on the road and beats Texas as a 4.5-point dog, that Mizzou goes on the road and beats LSU as a 15-point dog, where's the biggest win out of those 3, the biggest meaning from those 3, the most to gain, benefiting the most from a marquee win out of those 3? Do we want to go 1, 2, 3? Who we have at number 1? Who we have at number 2? Who we have at number 3?
Yeah, sure,
one by
that's
one,
fun.
Or do we want to just go one? Because I want to explain each one of them as to why.
Because everyone's going to be mad at us. No matter, there's no way the 3 of us are going to have a perfectly inverted series. It's going to have everyone happy.
2 are going to be mad. 1's going to be pissed. 1's going to be like, yeah, of course, that's the right answer. 1's going to be, no, that's wrong. We should be 1. The other one's going to be pissed because, how are the other 2? So, doesn't matter. Let's just get into it. Number 1, and I've got plenty of reasons behind this. Number 1, I went with Mizzou.
So did I.
Dylan?
Same.
Okay.
All right. Homerism accusations cleared.
Yes, thank you. My reasons, and we may all end up with some of the same reasons or overlapping, but I hope there are different ones there. My reasons are that, it put them 4-1 in conference. They remain in first place. They, have the tiebreaker over Georgia. Those are the obvious ones. They're number 12 in the country right now. They'd move into top 10, maybe the number 1 one-loss team out of all the rankings in the college football playoff. We'll see. The playoff possibility is thrown in there with Mizzou. A chance for a conference title. The first time or chance to play for a conference title since 2013 and 2014. They haven't had a double-digit win season since 2014. It would be their 8th win already. They have had 1 8-win season since they played Alabama in the conference championship game in the SEC. And for Eli, it would show that he's more than just a recruiter, that not only is he having this season putting it together, but he's having the season when you took care of Kentucky, you took care of South Carolina, and if you were to have this marquee, huge victory to take care of Georgia, it would be that, Missouri has a chance to at least show that they aren't the bottom tier of the East or whatever they end up doing moving forward with pods or divisions or whatever, that the recruiting is starting to then make a difference on the field. Those are some of the reasons as I went Mizzou number 1, and they're 15-point dogs. So I mean,
yeah, that would play into it, I suppose. Yeah, no, I think you touched on the vast majority of the reasons that I was going the same direction. The other one may be the most obvious, which is Georgia. It's
right,
listen,
yeah.
I know Texas is hashtag back, but Georgia hasn't left in a very long time. They don't lose at home. It doesn't happen. And obviously the like actual record counting and the trajectory for the rest of the season that you laid out is the biggest practical reason. The biggest vibes-based reason for me, and I don't mean this as a slight to Missouri, but Mizzou still doesn't feel like they have had a kick down the door, we belong in the SEC type of moment, type of season. You can go way back to that origin of Mizzou hopping into the SEC and finding a little bit of a foothold. Like, hey, this is how things are going to be. But that feels so long ago that I don't. It's not quite fair to say like that Mizzou has imposter syndrome, because I don't think Mizzou necessarily views itself as like this fake Big 12 school in an SEC school costume. I don't necessarily think that's how they view themselves, but I think it's how a lot of college football views Missouri.
Yes, especially in the SEC. In the SEC East, they still view Mizzou as this team that's come in there that's not good as us. And even the 2013 and 14 division wins were, yeah, but I mean, Georgia, Florida, and Tennessee were all down.
Yeah, right.
And Kentucky had one of their worst coaches in the history of their program in Joker Phillips at the time before they hired Mark Stoops. And even when they got Mark Stoops, it was still early. Like and Vanderbilt was Vanderbilt. Like you were beating up on an East. You were built throughout the Big 12 and winning double-digit games, and you went into an SEC East that was really down. So even that is sort of qualified to a degree.
And saying we went to Georgia, beat Georgia, and then that LSU game could have gone a number of different ways, and that's gonna, boy, if they do upset Georgia, that LSU game is gonna stick. But even with that, like you said, if you remove the team names, who's the highest ranked team with a loss this year? Well, I would probably give it to either Georgia or the team who beat Georgia. Like that would be my assumption. That is legitimately there. Missouri is. We mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, like not quite sarcastically, but a little pie in the sky at least. They have a college football playoff path in front of them that they can fully control. It would require beating Georgia on Saturday. It would require eventually beating Alabama, but that would be. What else could you possibly ask for as a college football fan? Literally nothing.
Or a chance at LSU.
I guess so.
Chance at LSU,
yeah, I guess so too.
That game day's there this weekend.
That's fair.
In Tuscaloosa. If LSU were to, I don't think LSU's going to win.
Sure, but that would be on the table.
But if LSU were to beat Alabama, then that's actually a game to where you go, wow, you can beat that team.
Yep.
You can win the SEC. Like when they played Auburn, it was like, yeah, they can beat that team. And it was a great game. I mean, it was a one-score game in the fourth quarter. I know it turned out to be a wider margin because Mizzou was down by Auburn had scored, and so they were down by two scores. And then they faced like a 4th and 15 at their own 20. And Gary Pinkel was like, well, we got to go for it. And they didn't get it. And then Auburn scored again. It was like, wow, you guys lost by like 17 points to Auburn. Yeah, but go to 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It was a one-score game, and Mizzou had the ball. It just didn't work out. Alabama, there's no chance. The next year was Alabama. You were going there to be lambs to the slaughter, and it's awesome that you won the East. It's a cool little participation trophy. This is different. This would be different with the chance of Alabama's not the same Alabama, and LSU, you almost beat them. Dylan, what were your reasons for Mizzou?
Basically, Josh had a bunch of good points because they were my points, but
Hey,
Dylan, thanks for writing those for me, by the way.
I will co-sign.
I'm writing that down. Dylan also said Josh had good points.
Wow.
Big day.
I think that, K-State's beat Texas before. They won the Big 12 championship last season against a team that was in the national championship against Georgia. So, I think Missouri, and Josh's point again, can make a statement and make this season a statement like we have arrived, we are in the SEC, and we're not just and I don't want to compare them to the Vandy's because they're not that either. They're way above.
They're considered that by other in the East. I mean, honestly, like I lived there for 10 years in SEC country, traditional SEC country.
Right.
And it was, how is this team winning? This team, we're better than that. If that team can win, then we can win. Like South Carolina looks down at them. Kentucky looks down at them. They view Missouri as Vandy. And I'm like, dude, they went into your conference and won your division twice. Y'all have never done it ever.
Well, there you go. Even more so to the point of let's make a statement, and we can actually belong. Like feel like we belong. I feel like they belong this season already.
I do too, but that's
that's exactly. You got to change the minds of people that Georgia fans, Alabama fans, all that. So yeah, it will be number one for that reason, as well as Josh's reasons as well.
Josh, you're number 2.
Was number 1 the easiest one for you? Was it Mizzou 1 and then a coin? I'm in near coin flip territory.
Honestly,
yes.
Number 3 was the easiest for me.
Ooh, interesting.
I'll be honest with you. Yeah, number 3 was the easiest for me.
I don't like that you're making me go second. Then
I can go second.
I
don't care.
have K-State 2 and KU 3.
Okay. Dylan.
Yeah, it's really hard. I'm kind of feeling like KU second, K-State.
I went KU second, and K-State
Really?
third was the easiest for me.
Interesting. Because of the expectations?
It's going to come off as a slight to K-State, but it's actually a compliment.
Okay.
It's actually that's the thing is, the Dabo Sweeney expectations over appreciation.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not going on in Kansas State right now. They don't have the expectation over appreciation.
Whoa!
Yes.
I didn't know we had Tyler ready to go.
But because it wouldn't be that big of a surprise for K-State to go down and beat Texas, and it would give them another chance to play in the Big 12 title, which they just did last year, play again there. They would have the tiebreaker over Texas. It would continue to solidify. It wouldn't be worthless. It'd be if KU were to lose to Oklahoma and Missouri lose to Georgia, and K-State win, it wouldn't be like, oh, who cares? No, it's a significant win to beat Texas and to continue with the one loss in conference. But because I thought they would be playing for the Big 12 title this year.
Yeah.
I had Texas under the 9.5, and maybe it's just me personally and what I thought would happen. And K-State, what they've done the last 3 weeks has shown that, okay, they've figured it out. The Oklahoma State, if they played Oklahoma State right now, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see that game again right now with Oklahoma State. They can't do that. Well, maybe in the Big 12 title game. Who knows what happens? I mean, if Oklahoma State wins this weekend, they've got 3 gimmies and 1 loss. I mean, they'll be maybe the ones playing for the Big 12 title. It might be a lot of crazy tiebreakers there, but I went K-State third because of the way I view K-State.
Yeah.
KU number 2 was because, they remain in the hunt. They beat Oklahoma. It's the best win in the Leipold era.
Yeah.
And they proved that they're a not only good team, but a steady, consistent program that's not going to be it's nice they've won 4, 5, 6 games. No, they didn't play their best game, and they beat undefeated Oklahoma. They are here. They've arrived, not arrived in national title. We've talked about sort of the way we should change our expectations in viewing college football with Braden Gall and things like that. They have arrived as a team that's legitimate in the Big 12 with that win. That's why I went KU number 2. But your reasons, I'm curious as to K-State number 2, KU 3 for you.
Yeah, and I think it's with very similar thought processes. But for me, with Kansas State, those higher expectations, I think I might be more likely to see them take a larger fall if they lose. Does that
I see what you're saying,
because in
so the
K-State,
win means more to keep their status.
Yes, because I think K-State has gotten to that point right now where you can look back and go like, okay, this Oklahoma State game, like you said, like I would love to see that again after they've kind of figured out not just their little unconventional quarterback situation, but like it's been a long time since anyone scored more than 3 points on Kansas State's defense, and that's like an incredible thing.
Unbelievable.
Again, I know it's TCU and Houston. TCU, did they? It seemed like they were good recently. I can't think of a year, but TCU and Houston.
I don't know a big K-State TCU game.
I can't think of one
recent past ever.
82-3 in these last 2 weeks against TCU and Houston is just an incredible, hilarious number.
Well, it's also 120-24 in the last 3 weeks.
Just get the entire state of Texas involved there, and then see what you can get in with the Longhorns.
The last 3 weeks, they've outscored their opponents by 96, plus 96.
To me, the idea of that coming to a halt at Texas, even though it wouldn't be invalidating, but it would be the rocket ship coming back down to earth a little bit. And I think if K-State beats Texas, again, the way that college football works and the expectation managing and all of that would be messy. But K-State wins this game, and it's them or Oklahoma in the Big 12, right? I mean, not literally, but
if Oklahoma wins this weekend,
correct?
Because if Oklahoma State wins, that's a 1-loss team, and they would have the tiebreaker over Kansas State.
And that's
With
the
as a one-loss
tiebreaker. The
team.
tiebreaker is a good point as well, and I think maybe that's a little bit of my Mick Schaefer.
But it also
getting into my nasal passages, and I'm allergic to Oklahoma State optimism now too.
But also, if Oklahoma State were to win this weekend, they may not. K-State doesn't have the tiebreaker over Oklahoma State. They would have it over Texas. And if Oklahoma State wins, that means KU beating Oklahoma moves K-State into first place if KU goes to Iowa State and wins this upcoming weekend. So, I mean, that KU win becomes even bigger for K-State in a random, totally random, odd sort of turnabout in fate for these two squads.
And that still leads up to a game in Lawrence in a couple of weeks.
And
It's going to be so fun.
Sorry.
That's okay.
K-State still has Iowa State, too.
Yeah.
So if Iowa State were to beat KU and be one last team, K-State can beat Iowa State. So
Yes.
those are all good points about that.
K-State winning this Texas game puts everything in front of them as well.
Yeah.
KU doesn't really have that power at this point.
'Cause of the two
even
losses.
with the Oklahoma win being as magnificent for the program as it was. That's my logic for 2 and 3. They're kind of
Yeah,
combined.
that makes sense. Dylan, you went K-State 2, KU 3 because you hate KU, obviously. That's the main one.
Exactly. And Josh has a great point. It's actually why it was so hard to pick one or the other, because I'm picking KU basically because they've already played Texas and they lost, so they need K-State to beat Texas just to have a shot. So you have to give yourself a chance to have a chance by beating Iowa State. And then K-State, they beat Texas. It's not really a new thing if they went down and beat Texas. Or is Texas going there?
No, it's in
Texas.
Austin.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're going KU 2,
Yes.
K-State 3,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
correct.
Yeah, all three schools this weekend are on the road. Ames, Hedges, and Austin this weekend. But it's weird. My easiest was K-State, and I guess that's just the way that I view them as, like, I would not be surprised in the least. KU, even though I said was the most likely of the three to win because they were at home and et cetera, there's still a surprise to them beating an Oklahoma team, especially when they didn't play well. There would be, quite frankly, a shock for Mizzou to beat Georgia. And I know it was close last year, but Mizzou ain't sneaking up on anybody right now. They got a 12 next to their name, not a 500 record next to their name.
And nobody believes in Georgia. They got a 2 next to their name.
I
I mean, the disrespect.
Disrespect. There's so much disrespect in this game. Georgia's getting disrespected by not being number one, and Mizzou feels disrespected because they're more than 2 touchdown underdogs to Georgia when they almost beat them last year. They're right there with them in the standings in the East, and they're 10 spots behind them in the country. Yet more than 2 touchdown dogs. Disrespect all over the place.
So disrespectful.
Disrespect of a few. But yeah, K-State was my easiest at number 3, and I went back and forth with Mizzou and KU of the meaning with this. But ultimately, I landed Mizzou, then KU, K-State. You went Mizzou, K-State, KU, and then Dylan went Mizzou, KU, K-State.
So you guys are on the same page. You flipped the bottom 2.
Yep.
But really, I mean, we can all just agree. Mizzou's going to absolutely trounce Georgia. Money line for sure. Maybe an alternate line. MIZ, baby.
Go ahead and mark that. Where's on next? Well, you know, the NBA is back as well. NBA fans, wait is over. DraftKings Sportsbook official. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Coming up a little less than an hour from now, we'll hear from Andy Reid. The Chiefs get ready to take their trip to Germany. They will leave tomorrow. The Dolphins already in Germany. Mike McDaniel meeting with reporters this morning, talking about his team. Teron Armstead is practicing. His 21-day window has been opened. Coming off the IR, their starting left tackle. We'll see if he does play this weekend. If he does, what level will he be playing at? I think it is a pretty important discussion whether or not he plays. Javon Holland is returning for the Dolphins. He is at a concussion protocol. But Brandon Jones, one of their starting safeties, did not travel to Germany because he is in the concussion protocol. So I would guess he's not going to play.
Yeah, I think it'd be harder to get a quick little jet to hop across the pond.
Yeah, get cleared of concussion protocol by the end of the week and then fly to Germany and then be acclimated time and then go out there and play against the Chiefs. So it looks like while they're getting a safety back, they're losing a safety. We'll see what the Chiefs will be doing when it comes to Willie Gay, if they'll be down a linebacker. So the Dolphins, in theory, could be down a starting safety, their starting left tackle, and their starting left guard if Teron Armstead does not play, because last week Isaiah Wynn was placed on the IR with his quad injury. So they've got some issues, but the Chiefs have some linebacker issues as well. They are not going into this game fully healthy, the two teams. But no excuses. Go out there, see who the better team is. And Tyreek Hill getting his chance to play against the Chiefs for the first time. We get our chance to talk to Cynthia Freeland next.
She's done the research.
You know, I measured the big boys' booties for like 2 years.
She's analyzed the data.
If you can keep that big booty down, like if you are a big boy, if you're very tall and you can keep your booty down low, then you are far more successful.
She's crunched the numbers, and the results are clear.
The back of booty isn't as good, as it turns out.
If she picks a dog, she'll have the math to back it up.
It's not like Travis Kelce has done. My dog is very excited about this, just so you know.
It's Cynthia Freeland of NFL Network. Now in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. We'll hear from Andy Reid later on this hour, giving an update as to what the status of the Chiefs are. Chiefs players, they will leave for Germany tomorrow. Miami is already in Germany. Mike McDaniel having his press conference this morning. We've told a little bit of some injury updates. Brandon Jones, concussion protocol, filled in for Holland last week, who was out with a concussion for the Dolphins. Brandon Jones then suffered a concussion, but Holland looks like he's returning. He is in Germany, has been cleared. Brandon Jones did not travel to Germany, so one of their top three safeties will certainly be out. And Teron Armstead, the 21-day window to practice has been opened, and he is in Germany practicing. We'll see if he plays this week. We will find out if their starting left tackle is back, and we'll find out the status of Willie Gay, hopefully in the next 45 minutes or so. Right now, Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, joins us here in the zone. Cynthia, how are you?
Hello. I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I am doing just fine. The weather is going to warm up here in a day or so after last night's 30-degree trick-or-treating with the little ones. So it's going to warm up to 60 degrees. Yeah.
Yikes.
But don't worry, Cynthia. In 2 days, it's going to be mid-60s, so it's all good. Just in time to not go trick-or-treating. So,
oh, my goodness.
Perfect timing.
I don't miss that from the Midwest.
I get it.
That's like the one thing. We've had a couple of years when I was growing up where we had snowstorms in Michigan before Halloween. So we would go outside in like an ice storm, and I mean, it made for some real. We wanted that candy really bad, so we still did it. But
you earned it. You earned it. Kids,
we earned it.
You know what? Kids trick or treating around L.A. and San Diego, they're not earning it. They're not earning their candy. Sorry.
No, they're definitely not.
No, not at all. Not like
These
you and
kids
I.
are so spoiled.
Yeah.
They're so spoiled. It was like gorgeous last night. It was. I mean, I don't want to tell you because it was very, very nice and favorable. But I was out with my cousin's kids, and we had so much fun. But my goodness, and they go all out here. Like it's insane. Like this is a good destination spot if you're ever looking for a good Halloween destination. Come down to the South Bay, which is Hermosa and Manhattan beaches.
Yeah, no, that would be great. I would love to do that. My kids would absolutely love to go trick-or-treating down there. Plus, you don't have to worry about, okay, well, this outfit, I mean, is it going to be short sleeve, or can we actually layer up with this outfit and still have the costume on? My daughter went as Sarah Sanderson from Hocus Pocus, and luckily it's a long dress and long sleeves, so we could layer up underneath and everything, so that was perfectly fine. So she was good last night. So yes, 70-degree trick-or-treating would be perfectly fine. Yes. What was not fine was what took place in Denver for the Chiefs, losing 24-9. What happened, Cynthia? What happened in that game? My goodness.
I mean, look, Jordan had a flu game, but remember, he's 20% of the team's output. And the word flu there was a nice, in quotation marks, if you watched any of the documentaries.
Agreed.
But the truth is some of the negative, like the weird things that happened. Obviously, turnovers were a problem, but the interesting part here was, remember, you actually talk about it all the time. The third and long is where they succeed. The third and short, it's almost the same in terms of conversion percentage as third and long, whereas other teams experience a significant drop-off. Well, when those third and shorts don't work out to the point of, not turnovers and really not working, and then the third and long means like Patrick's not 100% healthy, then you really see how punishing that can be. So look, it's really hard to beat a team 17 times in a row, just in general. And that sounds ridiculous, but it's hard to do that just mathematically. These are still NFL teams, and if there was one to drop, like obviously if Patrick's not feeling well, everyone has to kind of play their very, very, very best game, and unfortunately that didn't happen either. The
cliche saying in football of it's hard to beat a team 3 times in one season. which I don't know. If you beat them twice, then I think you should be able to beat them a third time. Maybe it's not that hard. But you're right. Maybe it is hard to beat a team 17 times in a row. You know, it's like Denver's like, look, nobody, and I mean nobody, comes into our house and wins their 17th game in a row over us over the last 6-7 years. That's not happening. Nobody does that on our watch.
Nobody does that. That we will not allow that to happen.
16, I get it. 16 times makes sense. 17 over my dead body.
The line.
That's exactly right. Josh had an interesting thought earlier today, so we wrote it down and noted it and marked it, and so we'll play it back a lot because that was good for him. But we were talking about all the simulations and everything with the computer algorithm and everything to see Chiefs win, Broncos, things like that. But how many times or how often, how many times do you have to run the simulation before it ends up with the Chiefs turning the ball over 5 times in one game? Like that's why they play the game sort of deal?
Yeah, I mean, look, the reason that these games aren't, sometimes we think about it like, some people are overly optimistic and think every game's a 50-50 chance, meaning like if you're the team that's the underdog, right? But most of the time it's not like that, but it's never 100-0. Right? Like the biggest win probability I've ever seen, in mine has been in the 70s, meaning that just 3 out of 4 times a team would win, a more highly regarded team would win than the underdog. So the truth is of course this is why we play. And of course parity, which is what makes the NFL, in my opinion, the absolute best of all of the major sports, means that the difference between 1 and 32 isn't as stark as maybe final scores might suggest, right? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, the Cowboys came out and crushed a team, right? Next week they get crushed themselves. It doesn't mean that they're awesome and then terrible. It means that, that game script went in favorably for them once and then not favorably for them in the next one. And mistakes compound. And that's really where complementary football comes back. And to be honest with you, if you think about it, the way that Patrick Mahomes changes a game and the fact that you can be down 3 scores and you're still like, yeah, Chiefs aren't out of it. Mm-hmm. Well, when the flu hits, that actually makes him more like a little bit more human. And like, I'm not suggesting he's human. I'm not sure he's like from this planet, but I digress. But ultimately it does bring him back down to more human status.
The cliche of like, it's why you play the game and all of that stuff and going into it. Like we were, I was talking with our guest that's coming up at 1 o'clock, Mick Schaefer, and he was like, a couple weeks ago, he's like, man, I had this 8-leg parlay of just the money line favorites, all big favorites. And the 8-leg parlay ended up coming to like plus 200 because that's how big the favorites were. And he's like, and of course, one team ended up losing. And I'm like, dude, I just got through reading this study that like if you took 10 games of home favorites by double digits, 10 games, and you just place the money line, the most likely outcome is 9-1 for those games.
Exactly.
The most likely one, I mean, there might be 8-2. Every once in a while it might be 10-0, but the most likely is that one of those teams is going to lose as a double-digit home favorite. And he's like, well, of course, because it was one leg that ended up losing in mine. I'm like, yeah, that's why it's not as easy just to go to Vegas and go, you give me 20 home favorites all on the money line, and I'm just going to rake in the cash. Well, no, they do play the game and everything, and things happen.
Right. And I mean, look, like there's a reason why, a home favorite is all minus odds, right? So it's like minus 120, maybe whatever. Mm-hmm. And the fact is that you're getting a plus odds at the end should tell you that Vegas, who clearly knows how to do this correctly, because look at all those fancy buildings, they know something that feels different from our gut, right? It just does.
And it's 8 chances for you to lose even at plus 200. Right. Like it's just 8 different times for one team to not bring it. And let me tell you, somebody that had a few money line parlays with the Chiefs just simply winning, wasn't great. wasn't a great weekend in the NFL. But that's what makes the NFL so fascinating and so much parity that's there. And it feels like the AFC, even more than usual, has so much parity with 9 teams all within one game of each other. Like that's crazy. Halfway through the season, there are 9 teams within one game of the best record in the AFC.
Well, here's an interesting stark contrast from last season to this season. I just finished rerunning win total projections for next season, or for the end of the season, rather, after the trade deadline. And the last season, at this point in the season last year, the Chiefs opportunities. So they got the first coveted and only bye in the AFC in nearly 40% of simulations. This year, they do lead, but that number is 11%. 11.
So last year they led at 40%. This year they're leading at 11%. Wow.
Yep. If that doesn't tell you the difference between last year and this year in terms of how close the top of the market is, I don't know what else does. And just for, to keep everything kind of interesting, the other side of this, the NFC, the Eagles get it in about 38%, which is hilarious just because it's not even as high as the Chiefs last year. But again, NFC it's just a different beast.
Yeah, no, that's fat. 11% is the most likely number one seed, even if the Chiefs at that spot. So, yeah, that's a great indicator of last year versus this year. Cynthia Freeland's our guest, NFL Network analytics expert. So you mentioned there some of the short yardage issues, and it came up in the Broncos game on two different 3rd and 2s in the red zone, and one was for no gain and one was -3. They ended up kicking a field goal on both drives in the red zone. The Chiefs, for whatever reason, against the Broncos, they have had severe red zone issues this year. They were 1 of 8 in the red zone against Denver in both games combined. Are red zone issues and short yardage issues connected as like stepbrothers or cousins to each other, or are those completely different things? And if you're terrible or struggle on short yardage, you can still be fine in the red zone. If you struggle in the red zone, you can still be good in short yardage situations. Or are those things connected in any way, shape, or form? Because that's sort of been what we've seen from the Chiefs in a number of years.
Yeah, well, for the Chiefs, they are. Not necessarily true for every team, because even I just think about like the tush push, for example, or whatever, brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it. Like that's going to work for a while, and then it won't work. So there are pops in time when those things are sometimes correlated, sometimes causal, and sometimes not. That's not a very satisfying answer. But one thing that is satisfying is that red zone efficiency this season is down overall from top to bottom, which just means that defenses have now caught up to, it usually is like a seesaw, right? We see tons of scoring for like 2-3 years, and then defenses catch up for a year or two. I will say the defensive kind of like prowess lasts less amount of time than offense because they can then readjust. But when you go that seesaw back and forth, we're on the part of the seesaw that we're seeing defenses be more effective. So you're probably noticing it more as a fan of the Chiefs because it's one of those things where we're just so used to like Patrick Mahomes just killing the world and Travis Kelce being, totally open on everything and then a run play working. And sometimes, Jet McKinnon will make something happen, or maybe it's Pacheco, but, we don't care which running back. It's just going to happen, right? We're kind of used to that from the Chiefs, but it's not necessarily that much different this season. So, again, it's overall the league-wide trend is that red zone efficiency is down, meaning defense is up.
Where's the zag then from the offense? Where's the next adjustment to the adjustment? The the counter to the counter. What's the next level then for the offenses to then counter whatever the defenses have figured out as to how they can limit teams in the red zone?
I'm pretty sure we're going to see that. I feel like the most quintessential game to showcase that is actually taking place in Germany this weekend because two teams that have over the past 2 seasons run the most different, this is terrible English, you ready for it?
Yes.
The most different effective plays on offense, meaning they have successful EPA, so plus EPA, either a first down netted or expected points added, just increasing. The most different types of plays run this season, it's actually the Dolphins who have just merely by a tiny little fraction overtaken the Chiefs. So the Chiefs over the past 3 seasons have run the most different types of successful offensive plays. This year, the Dolphins have started out the season stronger doing it, but I think in this matchup we get a lot more chess and we see what happens between these two offenses that clearly know they lead the way in terms of what other offenses are going to be copying in upcoming weeks.
How much do you believe coaches hold some things back or save some things for certain matchups, and whether Andy Reid thought maybe more vanilla against Denver or just take care of business in the red zone, or maybe he didn't hold anything back, but something specific for okay, this is a play, and against Miami is where we're going to use that one. And Mike McDaniel against Kansas City is where we're going to use this, and we're not showing it until we get there, even though it may help us in this game, but we're going to use it in that particular game. How much does that happen around the NFL?
I think when you're fortunate enough to be able to do that, then they do that more often than not. I feel like, if you close your eyes and think back to those great Patriots dominant seasons, they would certainly hold back plays for specific opponents, but not every team is fortunate enough to be able to do that. So I believe both Andy Reid and Mike McDaniel have some tricks up their sleeve that they've been saving for this particular matchup, especially with some, revenge narratives and implications for blah, 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 right? Like the storylines. I don't think those storylines are lost on coaches, mostly because they don't want to get torched by Tyreek Hill. It just makes you look bad, right? So at the end of the day, I think if you're fortunate enough to hold back some plays, you can. But you sometimes, even with the best players, like I don't think Cincinnati would have preferred holding back anything. Like they weren't saving all the good plays for this past week against the Niners. Things just weren't working before, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in the position to do it, you do it. If you're not in a position to do it, it is all hands on deck, and you just figure out how to get the darn first down.
Cynthia Freeland is our guest. The trade deadline came and went, not as big as we've seen in years past. You surprised that there wasn't as much movement from teams, and a couple of big names were moved, but really on the defensive line that were the biggest sort of trades that took place. You surprised that it was as quote unquote quiet as it was yesterday?
I mean, kind of surprised, just because like you can read it two ways. This past offseason, we saw so much movement, like wild swings, quarterbacks moving, big name people like there was a lot more movement in this past summer than we've seen. So potentially a lot of those moves were already made. But I do kind of respect the move by Washington to say, like, if this ain't it, we're going to cut bait now. In fact, I was a little surprised that the Raiders, after firing their coach and their offensive coordinator, didn't like clearly there's going to be some changes there, right? They already announced that Jimmy Garoppolo is no longer the starter and it's going to be Aiden O'Connell, et cetera, et cetera. Like, why not, put some chips on the table, to use the Vegas analogy, right? Like, either deal some guys or not. Like, you're already telling us, you're indicating what do you think of this season. So, I don't know. I was kind of expecting them to be a little bit more movement-based, but I guess if you don't have a GM, maybe, like, you don't know who to call. Like, I'm not sure. But, at the end of the day, I was a little surprised about that. But given all the names of people who moved in this offseason, I wasn't super surprised, but for a firing happening.
I wonder if if Mark Davis didn't already have the plans to fire Ziegler and Josh McDaniels, would there have been a move made by a GM that was sort of in their role, feeling like there's still a long-term view of what they can be and shaping that organization? Whereas if Mark Davis is saying, yeah, we're firing this guy, we're firing our coach today, I ain't having them trade Devontae Adams or anybody else as I'm getting ready to fire him. So, yeah, this is a trade deadline that's going to come and go without us making any moves, because the bigger move is that I have to fire these guys.
I guess I just more meant being on the acquisition side of it. I mean,
Okay.
Other than Max Crosby, your entire defense needs some help. So, obviously if those Washington guys were on the trade block, they have – it's like a free audition, because you have to decide about signing them next season. But, the Niners are getting a free audition out of Chase Young, who's having a career season, before they have to make any decisions about paying him. Great. Same with Sweat, right? Like, they don't have to, like, you get the free look at this player from inside the locker room without even really having to pay any, like, they're so, like, for Chase Young, it's a rookie deal still. So I don't know. I feel like perhaps being more, don't trade away Devontae Adams. Acquire some assets. Some assets that could potentially be guys who you could build around in the future. I'm not saying get rid of people. I'm saying bring some bodies in. Give Antonio Pierce, like, he knows how to play defense. He knows find me some guys that remind me of Antonio Pierce. Bring him in. See what happens.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, the Bears went that route. The Bears aren't expected to win anything this year. They went the route in acquiring Montez Sweat. They've got a lot of money into the salary cap. They got a lot of draft picks coming up, especially with Carolina's and their own, that they can make some moves and they can turn some things around.
And if they don't
quickly.
like Sweat, he's out of there.
Yeah, that's true.
No harm, no foul.
Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, is our guest. Let's talk about the matchup, Chiefs and Dolphins. You mentioned the two teams with the most different successful play types in the NFL, but the matchups this weekend for the Chiefs against the Dolphins. The Dolphins are a team that explosive plays. I mean, we see this offense for the Dolphins, and it reminds us of the Chiefs a few years ago with Tyreek, and throw in, Sammy and Travis and Damian Williams, who could break free and had the speed to, score at any time he touched the football, and McCole Hardman in there. We see that with the Miami Dolphins right now. The Chiefs' defense has allowed the fewest explosive plays this year to opposing offenses. What is Miami offensively if they don't have explosive plays, if they don't have throwing the ball down the field, picking up 20, 25-yard chunks? What kind of offense are they if the Chiefs' defense can limit those explosive plays and keep things in front of them and make the Dolphins be more methodical?
Well, more so even than limiting explosive plays, it's the every down quick plays and quick passes that are really going to be the difference maker, because I told you when we talk about those different types of offensive plays, like when's the last time you saw Tyreek Hill catch a screen pass as a Chief? Because that didn't happen. It happened, 3 weeks ago? So the point is it's limiting their ability to be super effective with those quick passes, because if you disrupt the timing of Tua Tagovailoa, and that timing is so fastest time to throw in the NFL, if you're disrupting that, then you really have a good chance of throwing them off kilter, meaning they're not going to be able to get their guys out in space and rely on that yards after the catch. The Jalen Waddle situation will be a lot more muted. The opportunity for Tyreek to run all over the field is very muted. So the point is it starts up front and potentially not being too over blitzy or over pressury, right? Try to rush with 4. Figure out what you can do, drop back into coverage, and prevent the deeper gashes on those quick plays. Because we know a quick play doesn't take as long to develop, which means you're not going to have a ton of time for Tua to figure out how to navigate the pocket. You just need to blanket everyone else. That's probably what this defense is looking at.
So the Dolphins have given up 11 sacks this year. 9 of them have come to the Bills and the Eagles, the 2 games that they have lost. Is that the correlation, what you're talking about, that disrupting Tua in the backfield the whole time? Because the Chiefs have 11 sacks their last 2 games.
Exactly. So use the pressures. The sacks are like a really good way of seeing it, but the effective pressure rate is even higher for those 2 teams. Like, it may not have always, and sacks are effective pressures, but in addition to the sacks, there are also pressures that change the potential to complete a pass. And you saw Devin Achane before he went on IR, and you see Raheem Mostert have these huge yard per carry numbers, and that number actually isn't such a bad thing, because it means that they're not able to find their receiver. So it's not suggesting give up a ton of yards on the ground, but potentially look at what's going on the ground and saying, okay, if you're going to not allow them, if you're getting effective pressure on Tua, and then they're going to try to run the ball, then you can contain the run a little bit easier. So it's not a bad thing if the yard per carry number is over 4 or something that usually Chiefs fans would hate, right? Because Chiefs fans are very lucky that they get a good defense that doesn't have that this season. But if that's the case, then that's probably a good sign, because that means that the passing isn't working. Yeah,
and just when you mention it, it doesn't necessarily have to be the sacks. So I mentioned the 11 sacks for the Chiefs and the defenses that they've shown the last 2 weeks against the Chargers and then the Broncos this past weekend. They have 11 sacks, they have 12 tackles for loss, and they have 16 quarterback hits. I mean, and they haven't had to blitz a whole lot. They've been living in the backfield, and that's where, if we're looking at matchups and strengths this weekend, the Chiefs offense I know has struggled, but they're going up against a Miami Dolphins defense that is not the level of the Chiefs defense. And the Chiefs defense, their strength seems to be something that would be able to capitalize and exploit a weakness from the Dolphins. Like the 2 weaknesses for the Dolphins, the Chiefs feel like they're a team that can take advantage of both.
Exactly. So yeah. I mean, again, it's a close. To me, it's going to be a close game. But that is advantage. There is a huge advantage there. If the Chiefs can accurately bring pressure without having to leverage the blitz too much, then they minimize the opportunity to get gashed by those explosive plays.
Interesting. All right, what do you think happens this weekend? What do the numbers say? And is this a victory for the Chiefs to stay with 2 losses and continue to be the number 1 seed in the AFC?
I mean, I have the Chiefs winning by 2 points. This is the closest I've seen in a while. And I do think that it will come down to the ability to exploit. I mean, this is a very good O-line. And even though the Dolphins defense has some good pressure bringers, good English again, they do have some guys who can bring the heat. I just think that those intermediate passes, those passes where we see not just Travis Kelce, but also Rashee Rice be really effective on, those are where I think that the Chiefs live in this game. So air yard passes between 10 and 19 yards, an area where we see not necessarily last game, but in previous games, that has been the sweet spot this season. Not the deep pass, but those intermediate passes where they've gotten just a lot of success, a lot of first downs, and the opportunity there to keep the chains moving.
All right, we'll see what ends up happening. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. Cynthia, thank you so much for the time. As always, enjoy the football. Looking forward to our conversation next week. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Enjoy the game.
Yes, you too. There's Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. Love talking with her. And the Chiefs and Dolphins in Germany. How about that when it's, red zone efficiency down overall in the NFL? So then the question being, okay, where's the adjustment then? Where's the counter from the offense? What does the offense do now that the defense has figured some things out? She says, we'll find out this week. And these two teams are the ones that do more different or have the most different successful play types by EPA, KC and Miami. They are very creative, and so sometimes Chiefs fans aren't fans of that creativity in the red zone. It's fun when it works. It's annoying when it doesn't, because field goals ain't it on Sunday in Germany. Field goals, and I do wonder if Andy Reid changes the mindset a little bit. If he's down 7-3 to the Miami Dolphins, or 7-0 like he was in Denver, and it's 4th and 2 from the 3-yard line, I wonder if a field goal happens or if the offense stays out there and Patrick Mahomes has the ball in his hands for that play. I would definitely prefer the latter. I'm not sure that the former is going to be the I'm not sure that the latter will be the leader in the clubhouse. I'm guessing the former would be the strategy there. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue. More Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. We'll hear from Andy Reid coming up in the next segment. We'll find out which players may be with Andy Reid, if there are players with Andy Reid today in a press conference. We know they will have media availability on Friday in Germany, mainly with Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback's meeting with the media on Friday. Miami had their press conference this afternoon in Germany, this morning here local time, as they get set. And they have been there since yesterday. They had the day off for sightseeing, etc. And today back to practice with the Miami Dolphins. So
Mike McDaniel's first words to the German media, not the German media necessarily, but the media in Germany was, "Yes, I know I'm bigger in person." Just in case you were wondering. If Andy Reid sees that, he might open with, "Yes, I know I'm skinnier in person." But that's within his character.
I like Mike McDaniel.
How could you not? If you don't like Mike McDaniel, you're a narc.
No, there's so much about, like this morning when somebody had said they started with, this is Tyreek Hill's first game, and he goes, "What?" Whoa. Like those are things like you don't really expect from a coach, right? And then the whole, you guys are leading the league in yards, et cetera. And he's like, "Well, that was our goal to lead the league in yards after week 5. That was the main thing we wanted to accomplish this year."
He has a different way of still not answering the questions that coaches always tried to hide, but he's not, a dingus about it. And it's not the same boring coach speak that you get from everyone who's, been kind of using the same playbook for a while. It seems like it comes to him very naturally.
And this is going to be an interesting matchup because you've got a really creative Mike McDaniel, and you've got Andy Reid, a guy who's viewed as just an offensive mastermind, a guy that is continued to, as much as any coach has, stay ahead of the curve and not get complacent and fall behind and run an offense from 2008 and be like, "No, but my 2008 offense was pretty state-of-the-art. Like, it was new, it was fresh." Yeah, now it's old, and people have already figured out how to stop that. You haven't evolved, and that's why your teams haven't been that good. Andy Reid's always continuing to evolve. Now, evolving with an alien at quarterback helps.
Yep.
But they are staying ahead of the time and not just simply doing the same things he was doing with Alex Smith. They have some different parts of their game. Mike McDaniel's really creative. And he's creative in being able to get his guys open in space with all of the different motions. And, one of the ways to try to slow down Tyreek Hill is to, get hands on him at the line of scrimmage, not to hold him. But he's so quick that it's difficult to do. And we know the Chiefs they like the man-to-man to go and, hit the wide receiver there and, a little bump and run. Can they do that with Tyreek Hill? I don't know. I know these cornerbacks have played against Tyreek Hill in practice. At least L'Jarius Sneed has. I shouldn't say cornerbacks.
Yeah,
L'Jarius Sneed has. That's
actually just Sneed. I mean,
yeah, because Watson,
and
McDuffie,
Justin
and
Reed
Williams,
wasn't even. I mean, even him, and not
Brian
obviously
Cook.
not a rookie.
Like I said, only
that's
one person
wild.
in the
only
entire
L'Jarius Sneed has played against Tyreek Hill in practice.
Yeah, and there is no scout team for Tyreek Hill, and we've seen it in Kansas City for so many years. And it's been an advantage, and it's fun to talk about. And you're like, yeah, that's different speed. And then, people that go up against Tyreek Hill for the first time, we heard it all the time. It was like, well, that was different. Yeah, it was the Tyreek Hill. Oh, I've been against fast players before. Like, I can't remember who said that like a few years ago. It was like, well, no, I've faced fast players before. And then after the game, it was like, yeah, that was different. That was a different speed. I just remember us talking about it, and there'd be some sort of like, what's the point of saying that, before the game? Maybe talk about it after the game. Like, yeah, he was fast, but I've gone up against fast players before, and, he does a lot of things, blah, blah, blah. But Tyreek Hill is not just a fast player. I mean, he's a fast player that developed into a damn fine wide receiver. And he wouldn't be on pace for over 2,000 yards receiving if he was just fast. There are a lot of fast guys. John Ross was fast. Okay? We've seen fast dudes in the NFL. Not like Tyreek Hill, in terms of being a wide receiver, creating separation, route running, understanding what the defenses are doing. And I think Tyreek Hill, being around Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, benefited him a lot to now be in Miami with Mike McDaniel and his offense and understanding what defenses are doing and having that sort of ingrained already, that teaching point is with Waddle and some other guys, but not with Tyreek Hill.
He talked about that on Sunday, actually. He started getting Chiefs questions after the Patriots game, and he was specifically asked about, like, hey, compare your first couple years here in Miami to your first couple years in Kansas City, just kind of how that's been different for you. And he talked about, I just know a whole lot more now, coming into the league and trying to figure out where you fit and understand how the game is played. But now I've been able to learn from other veterans in the past locker room that I was in and apply it here. Again, just going on and talking about knowing more now, both in terms of on the field or being in the locker room and trying to be a leader in that aspect. And he said, I'm light years ahead of where I was back then. Yeah. And that's all obviously because he learned in Kansas City. I haven't heard the other clips that you've got from today, but I went through his whole that whole sequence in his post game presser. After that, and him talking about like wanting to play an Arrowhead isn't I want to play an Arrowhead and suck the life out of that building. It's him acknowledging this is a different type of game. It would be even more different if it was at Arrowhead. So anyway, he's handled it well so far from what I have seen. Yeah. And that part particularly is a funny thing for you to mention because he talked about it and was pretty reflective about that.
And I think that's just like, we see, and that's one of the things that made that triumvirate so special is because Mahomes, Kelsey, and Tyreek could all ad-lib on the same page together. And Mahomes and Kelsey can do that. But there's not necessarily another guy on the team that is the level of, especially when Tyreek can just turn and run.
He does it so differently too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to insult Tyreek Hill's football IQ. It's very high still, I imagine. Although he's said he doesn't watch tape at home, whatever. But Mahomes and Kelsey are reading and then have a spin-off off of that. For Tyreek Hill, he can see a key or something, right? And then just afterburners. And then Mahomes will go, oh, he saw that. Boom, gone. It is a completely different speed, literally. And to what you mentioned at the beginning of the segment, too, I am fascinated to see how the Chiefs try to handle it because they've had L'Jarius Sneed follow the outside number one receivers a good number of times. He was excellent against Justin Jefferson. Trent McDuffie's excellent in the slot. But neither of them are speed matchups for Tyreek Hill. And if you want to play physical, play man, and get your hands on him at the line of scrimmage, that's great. I like it when defenses do that. You cannot get it wrong against Tyreek Hill. You cannot miss, or he will absolutely disembowel your defense.
Well, and the way that Steve Spagnuolo approaches this is going to be really interesting because early downs, as Cynthia Freeland just said there, one of the keys she's watching is early or the quick plays, quick releases. The early downs, like, boom, take the snap, 2 steps, get the ball out. Those quick releases, not the take the snap, 5-step drop, waiting for, and then boom, hitting somebody over the top. She's like, what's going to be dangerous in this game? Those quick plays, and then Waddle and Tyreek running. If you limit those and you come up and tackle, which is a capital I, capital F, and this team is a good tackling team, very willing tackling team. If you're able to do that and force some second or third and longs, well, no longer is the quick little take the snap and get the ball out because it's 3rd and 9. Okay, no longer is it, well, we're going to hand it to Raheem Mostert. It's 3rd and 9. Now it's a blitz, get after him. Can you exploit that offensive line that's had their struggles and then sack Tua? Those early downs are going to be crucial for the Chiefs because if they're able to just, oh, here's 7 yards, oh, there's 7 yards, there's 6 yards, there's 5 yards, it's going to be frustrating because you're not going to put them into situations where you can really get after Tua if they stay on time, ahead of schedule, and with the chains. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back here from Andy Reid next. All right, we'll hear from Andy Reid, Drew Tranquill, Charles Omenihu, and Sky Moore today at the podium. Friday will be, in the 5 o'clock hour on Friday, will be Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Chris Jones and Harrison Butker there. So not a surprise that the main German media availability, Travis Kelce, will be there at the podium to talk about Taylor Swift. And the Chiefs game, of course. But Taylor Swift.
I wonder what the ratio will be. There will be, I'll say, multiple Taylor Swift questions.
I was going to, the ratio from football to Swift?
Yeah.
I think, well.
If you go football to off the field in its entirety.
Yeah, so, and then is it a question that includes Taylor Swift? Like on the field, when Taylor Swift is in attendance, as opposed to, that's still a Taylor Swift question, even though it's about football. I count that as Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I think you have to.
So I'm going to say more Swift than football.
I think it's going to be
overall.
Very, very close to 50-50 off the field, on the field. Because the Chiefs, a lot of the Chiefs media folks will be out there.
Not a lot, but some
will be out there.
There'll be a representative from all the different entities.
And other like the NFL Network people and stuff will be out there. But I wonder what the percentage of local German reporters will be.
Because drawing interest in the game, if you're not necessarily a football fan, could be, hey, here's Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
Yep.
And that now is intriguing. And so we're talking to, you guys can ask Andy and Patrick and Chris Jones and Harrison Butker some football stuff. But our audience, in Travis Kelce specifically, allows us to draw interest with non-football stuff, with pop culture stuff, with this guy who's become incredibly famous the last few weeks. And in Germany, as it's still 7, 8, 9 months away from her German, the German leg of her era's European tour, non-United States tour, a little preview. Hey, you're not playing over the summer. Will you be in Germany with Taylor Swift next summer? It's after the American Century Championship. So you won't be there, which, by the way, kind of disappointing that Taylor Swift is in Europe during the American Century Championship golf tournament.
That is disappointing, you're right.
Very disappointing. Ugh, what's the point? What is the point? I'm not sure. But yeah, so today will be Drew Tranquill, Charles Omenihu, Sky Moore, and of course Andy Reid when they get to the podium. And interested to hear what the updates will be with Willie Gay. So as soon as Andy Reid is starting to walk in the room, we'll try to get out there just so we can hear some of the injury stuff at the beginning, which is typically when he gives that. Mick Schaefer will join us in the 1 o'clock hour. He is in Germany right now, planning his dinner. So we'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. And there are still some clips from Tyreek Hill that I wanted to play from the I Am Athlete podcast, and some interesting things that he had said there, and just more information about, the trade and how he's feeling now, and ask again about Patrick or Tua, and sort of goes through those things, and then asked about Andy Reid and Mike McDaniel, like the differences that are there, which I'm certainly interested in, because every coach is different. And the way Andy Reid does things different than the way that Shanahan and certainly Mike McDaniel and Doug Peterson, etc. Even those that are a part of his tree there. So we'll hear that as the show progresses as well. But we believe close with Andy. Here's Andy.
All right. As far as the injuries go, Jerick McKinnon, we're going to hold him out. He's got a sore groin. He's been kind of battling the last couple of weeks. And then Willie Gay with a low back contusion. So he won't practice today. Getting better, just won't practice today. Look forward to the challenge of playing the Dolphins. A real good football team, well coached, and good players. To add to the business side of it, Richie James his window has been open, so he can practice. And we'll just see how that goes. But anyways, back to the Dolphins, good football team, and look forward to that challenge. Look forward to going to Germany to play, and it's a unique situation. So anyways, with that time.
Andy, how's Pat doing? Not just the flu, but the hand also.
Yeah, well, he's doing better. It's getting better, healing up. More contusions and scratches, cuts than anything.
And the flu is gone.
Flu's gone.
Is Willie Gay a candidate to go on IR?
No, I don't think so, but we'll see. I don't want to give you a yay or a nay, but he's making progress right now, which is a good thing. So I don't think it's that though.
In terms of your wide receivers, what are you looking for over the second half of the season in terms of improvement from those guys?
Yeah. So listen, I mean, we're going to be okay there. We just keep getting better all the way along. It's not just a wide receiver thing; it's all of us. So. A week ago, we were saying how good they did. So we just keep the consistency going on the offensive side is what we need to do all the way around, not just the wide receivers.
Andy, in Travis's podcast, he alluded to guys were running wrong routes, guys not making blocks, guys dropping the football. It's been frustrating. Have you felt the frustration, kind of the way Travis was alluding to in his podcast? Is that?
Yeah, well, listen, when you don't play well, I think all the guys were frustrated, and that's what's going to help make us better. So, you got to work through it, and that's what we're doing.
You guys had Tyreek for so long, and he did so many special things for you. Did you ever have anyone really figure out a way to stop him that you guys faced, and just talk about the challenge of what you guys have in front of you, him specifically in their entire offense?
Yeah, listen, I mean, he's a great player. I mean, that's the bottom line. And, you might slow him down, but he was going to make plays somewhere. So, and that's what makes him the player he is. He's got speed, quickness, and he's smart. Yeah.
You see any differences in his game now from when you watch him on tape from when he was here?
No, he's pretty good.
Coach, I know when you have drops, you have turnovers, it's tough to get real deep on the play card, right? That slows you down. But only 8 carries for Isaiah Pacheco. I know you touched on this a little bit, but did you have an idea that you'd be able to run more? Would you like to have gotten more of the run in, or?
I think you kind of hit it. The rhythm of it, I think, allows you to do that as you go, and the numbers end up being better than what they were. On the other side of it, they threw it only 19 times there, and that those things happen depending on the rhythm, turnovers, and that was an unusual thing for us to turn the ball over like that. 3 in the first half, that's a tough deal.
Just to follow up real quick, I know you want to get better everywhere, but are you satisfied with the run blocking? I mean, is the line? I know you got 2 new tackles. I mean, is that still a work in progress? Are you optimistic they can block and run better?
Seren, the thing I could give you is just all the way along, all of us on that side of the football, more consistent. That's what we need. So we've got some good things that we're doing, putting up a lot of yards and so on, but getting into the end zone becomes important. Not turning the ball over, basic fundamentals. We've got to take care of that, and so it's my responsibility to get that done. And we're working on it. We'll try to get ourselves better this week.
Coach, we'll get Sky in a second here. I know year 2 can be tough for any player in the league. What maybe is held him back, and what gives you confidence that he's going to be productive by the end of the season?
Yeah, Sky's doing well. We're rotating a lot of guys in there, so opportunities. I mentioned about the one throw. I think you guys probably all get that on your computers there, but you get that arm yanked down, it ends up being a one-arm catch. So, he took a lot of heat for that. But I, for the most part, this guy's doing a heck of a job for us. So just keep him growing.
Coach, how important is routine and trying to find some normalcy this week when obviously it's a bit of an unusual situation going to Germany?
Yeah. So it's a road game. That's how you look at it, a long road game. So you got to travel a little bit. With that, you try as much as you can to keep the guys in routine, and with the help of all the people in the organization, we have that about down to where they can do that, with the exception that they've got to get some rest on that plane. So, and it's a nice big plane, comfy little things. They can do their thing there. So, but you try to do that the best you can. We do the same thing on the road. Try to do it, keep it consistent.
When you've gone over years past, what are some of the things that surprised you that you had to deal with you didn't expect? Things you learned.
Yeah, it's noise. It's like the Super Bowl that way. It's constant noise. So it's not for one team or the other team. It's just, and it's normally loud. It's not just a buzz. So, and you listen to the soccer match that they have, and it's loud. It's very, very similar to that. So you gotta make sure you're aware of that before you get there. We've done everything. We've had people visit over there to check the fields and the hotels and all those things. So, and the people have been great from Germany on their hospitality with that. So, we look forward to getting over there and just kind of settling in. I think as humans, we all like to get a little settled in, and so we'll do that with the couple days that we have.
You guys had a little practice over there and some meeting with the media on Friday. Will your routine that you have on a Friday here, do you have to do other things that maybe aren't what you normally do?
It'll be the same practice. We'll have the same practice schedule. And meetings before that. So try to keep that. It's just a little later in the day. And then there's some media obligations that a few of the guys are going to do. They get to work with some kids there. And those are all things they like to do and what they do in our community here. So, yeah.
You get to be normal, though?
Well, you might be the first person that called me normal, so I'll take that as a compliment. For the most part, yeah.
But you guys brought Darius Harris back. How can he help you over the next couple games here?
Yeah, well, I mean, he was a good football player, and he can help on special teams. He knows the defense, so that part's good. Yeah.
Couple more guys.
You mentioned scouting the sites, and they've got a hybrid surface there in the field. How do you feel as far as comfort level and being able to get situated to it?
Yeah, so actually we had that when I was in Philadelphia, where they inject the artificial turf within the grass, and it worked fine. So, that's football's huge here for us. Soccer's real big there, and they make sure those fields are nice. And so I don't think it'll be a problem at all. Yeah.
Is practicing that constant soccer crowd noise, is that something that y'all have to practice on?
Well, we do the music here, so we'll just keep it rolling for both sides.
Last two. Coach, are you a guy that can sleep on a plane? I mean, are you going to be up working?
Going to London, I've stayed up for a while and then slept for a little bit. Yeah, I'm good with that though, as long as I can fit in the chair.
Last one.
Spät ist die Deutsch Ja or Nein?
Nein. Yeah. I'm actually a quarter German, believe it or not, but I'm not sure what quarter though. All right. Yeah.
Hopefully it's the fourth quarter. Hopefully he's fourth quarter German. There you go. So can you speak German? I had to ask you, like, what did they just say? Ja or nein?
I'm pretty sure that's what that was.
He said that nine. The route that they would like Sky Moore to perfect, the 9 route.
Hey,
I don't even know what that is, but just do it. We'll hear from Charles O'Menu right now.
Hello, Mr. O'Menu.
Hello, everybody.
You excited to go to Germany?
I am. It's going to be fun. I mean, international games are always fun. And then the fans over across the water, they love it. They eat it up. And then just another way of connecting with the people across.
But they don't know how to cheer for American football. They jump up and down constantly like in soccer. Does it take some getting used to?
I mean, this is going to be my third time, so I'm not really, it don't really bother me.
It doesn't bother you?
Mm.
What were the other times you went?
London and Mexico? Yeah.
This matchup, obviously, with Miami's got a high-powered offense and all that. Some of the teams that had most success have been the teams that got to Tua, got into the ground. How big is that focus this week for you guys? I know it's focus every week, but
Yeah.
how important is it to knock this offense off timing?
Yeah, I mean, their offense is big on rhythm. So when you give negative plays on first down, that kind of throw them off rhythm, in my opinion. So that's, I mean, with any offense that's like how they are, they're very big rhythm based. Get it out on time kind of deal. When you throw it off, I think that gives a chance for the defense to kind of dictate how things gonna go.
When you went to London, did the team go early in the week? Do you remember?
I think we did. Yeah, we were there for a week, I believe.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you got a couple extra time zones to
Mhm.
tour. You're going late in the week this week. I'm just wondering if you are concerned at all about sleep and having your body adjusted for Sunday.
I mean, not really. Your mind gotta be set on you have a job to do, regardless of if you go and be there for a week or if you're there for, I think we were 2 days for real. So, I mean, it don't really matter to me. My mindset is on Sunday, you gotta be ready to go regardless.
Is there anything to do with like maybe a body clock since when you start it's gonna be 8:30 a.m. local time? Is there anything to do with a body clock that makes you different?
I don't sleep good anyway, so it don't matter for me. I'm gonna be gassed up to play. It don't really matter for me.
Charles, is there much that you can tell from what McDaniels is doing in Miami that was similar to maybe what you saw during your brief time in San Francisco?
It's a little different. You know, I think in San Fran there's a lot more downhill. Still the zone concepts, but with Coach McDaniels, a lot of window dressing, a lot of speed. The guys over in San Fran are fast players too, but you got 3 of them boys is 4.2 plus. You know, like they're fast, and then out 28 that's not even playing. Like they got 4 guys who they probably get 4x1 and beat anybody in the league. So it's a lot more outside runs, getting the boys in space. I think they're it's like a Madden kind of look to me. With San Fran, it was window dressing, but it was like downhill coming at you, and then a little bit of the outside zone stuff.
Charles, dating back to your time in Houston, you prepared for Tyreek Hill. I believe you guys played Hill when he was with the Chiefs.
Mhm.
What goes into just the focus on containing him?
You just gotta play him. I mean, stay over the top. You know he's gonna go deep. You know he's gonna want to get to the edge. You know that he'll sometimes reverse field, try and get the extra yardage, and you just gotta bottle him up. When he gets the ball in space, you track the hip and make the play.
What do you see out of Tua, out there?
Quick passes. Like I said, he's a rhythm timing type of guy. And then obviously he has 2 guys that can stretch the defense. But I think that's from college, that's how he was. Timing, accurate, for sure he's an accurate player. And then he can throw the deep ball. He's a good quarterback, for sure.
Stags likes to blitz, and you guys like to jump up and bat down passes. Is that kind of aggression something that could really take Tua out of his rhythm?
Yeah, I mean, just for any quarterback, you know what I'm saying? When you get a bad pass or maybe get it from first down to be 2nd and 13, something like that, they can get any quarterback out of rhythm. So I'm pretty sure that we're going to have some. I don't think it's a game plan to bat ball. I think that's just instincts kind of deal.
Do to disrupt.
Yeah, but you want to take them out of rhythm and take them out of manageable downs so that they have to drop back and really just throw the ball.
I know you haven't been with this team for a long time, but do you feel something a little bit different this week after the disappointment from Sunday? Some more focus and stuff that how important this game is?
No, because that means that you weren't focused last week. So if you got to turn it on and off, that's a problem. And I don't think that's in this organization's DNA. I think every week is handled the same. You handle it like every game's the Super Bowl. And you don't turn it on and off because you're playing against a different opponent. I think that's losing football, and I don't think that's what we got going on here.
Charles, we hear a lot about Joe Cullen. You've got a little time to work with him now. Why is he good? What are his strengths? What are you gleaning from him? Why has he been such a good defensive line coach?
I think Joe gets the most out of anybody that he has. I think he's a guy that pushes you. I think he strives for you to finish. And I mean, Joe wants guys who can play the run, set edges, and get after the quarterback. So he's going, if he sees that talent in you, he's going to get it out of you. And if you have that, he's going to maximize whatever's left or whatever you haven't tapped into.
Is it about putting you lining you up, that kind of thing, or is he one of those guys that finds all the little ticks on film? This guy's a little off, or
I think it's just whatever your strengths are, honing into it. Me personally, I've lined up all across the board my career, period. So that's something I've been doing. But I think with Joe, he finds ways for me to just finish better or approach things in this way. Just seeing things differently and adding it to my game. He's done that for everybody. So you definitely see for the guy that obviously I started a little later, but those guys have about to hit career highs. Mike and George. Sack numbers and been playing around well. So and Chris obviously does what he does. So.
Why do you think has played so well this year from your perspective, Charles?
He understands himself as a rusher. He plays to his strengths, and he's a guy that finishes. When the opportunity is there, he finishes, and he's made the plays that came to him, and then he wins his one-on-ones when it's his opportunity to.
You say you guys have an even keel, but is there a sense of urgency with this game? You feel it every week, I get it, but is this game a little more important because it's an AFC rival?
Me personally, I take every game the same way. Like I said, if you get up for one game and then you like whatever for the next game, you're not as focused. So for my feeling, this organization is not like that. I don't think any of the players here are like that. Obviously, this is a opponent that is a very good team, very good offense, a lot of star power, cool, but you still got to take every opponent the same way.
Charles, you know any German?
Huh?
You know any German?
No, I do not. And I was gonna go out here and pretend like I do for the entertainment of y'all and whoever's gonna be listening and watching, but I have none at all.
You know anything about? What do you know about Germany before you go over there?
What do I know about Germany? Sure. They used to be. I think they was good at soccer. Didn't they win the World Cup? Yeah. So, they nice at soccer. Yeah.
Last one. Anybody?
Any German food? You got anything here?
No, I've never had German food. I've been to Frankfurt, but it was so long ago that my memory is a little jaded. But it should be a good experience. You know what I'm saying? Hope to see y'all. Chiefs. Y'all do y'all pull up. Y'all do y'all thing. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Charles.
All right, there's Charles Omenihu. Not much German there, but he's been to Frankfurt. He just doesn't really remember there. But a lot of talk around the Miami Dolphins offense, obviously, and the quick passes affecting the rhythm, the timing, all of that stuff. So we can talk a little bit more about the things we heard from Charles Omenihu. We're going to hear from Drew Tranquill. We're going to hear from Sky Moore here coming up very briefly as well. But yes, Charles Omenihu, one of the reasons why this defensive line has been that good. I mean, again, Charles Omenihu gets with the Chiefs. He's played 2 games, and the Chiefs in those 2 games have a total of 11 sacks. They have 12 tackles for loss, and they have 16 quarterback hits with Charles Omenihu in the fold, along with obviously Chris Jones and Karlaftis and Dana, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, he's been a welcome addition, and it's going to be big for this Dolphins offense this weekend. If they can affect the timing, can they throw off the timing? And as he said, if they can throw off the timing, then they can try to dictate the offense and what they would be doing. So that's obviously going to be huge coming up this weekend. And the difference, I thought it was interesting, he talked about the difference between Mike McDaniel in San Francisco and now, as he said, well, in San Francisco with Shanahan, it's more downhill. There's some outside zone, but it's sort of more downhill. It's running right at you. So now a lot of window dressing and speed. And then the funny clip about they could beat anybody in the 4x100. in space. It's a more Madden type of thing as well. You're listening to Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. Yeah, I think the Miami Dolphins would win a 4x100 against anybody in the league with Achane when he's healthy. Waddle, Tyreek, Achane, and Mostert would be a phenomenal 4x1. Yeah. Phenomenal 4x1. And that is if you throw in offense, you throw in defensive players, that is incredibly legit. I'd like to see that just in general. If they put some practice time in it, just to see what they would do, what their time would be compared to what we've seen from other, legit teams that have done that over the years.
Whip that up for the Pro Bowl or something.
Right.
Hey, let's have the Dolphins run a 4x100.
That's right. just to see what they can do. That's right. Yeah.
I'm with you also. I think the two things that are maybe most interesting there from a minute who you mentioned, but those differences from the San Francisco days to Miami, maybe another wrinkle on it is just that was Shanahan's offense that McDaniel was learning from and contributing to and tinkering with and all of that. But what does it look like when you step away from the teacher, if you will, and you get your own space to kind of to play around? I think Mike McDaniel might have one of the most extreme or most signature offensive styles, leaving one place to another, that we have seen maybe in modern football, just because there is a whole other gear where it is visibly different, but you can see where some of those familiar practices come from.
Well, when you learn from somebody for so long, when you finally get your opportunity, how long does it take you to do the things that you have found out that work for you?
Right.
That's different than just doing what the other guy did.
Right.
And trying to mimic that. Clearly, Mike McDaniel has taken some of those concepts and made them his own. Here's Drew Tranquil.
I'm going to pack tonight. My wife's going to help me. Her mother came in town, my mother-in-law, going to help us with the kids, going to help me get my suitcase packed, my outfits, and we'll be off and rolling.
So what do you got to take when you go to a place like Germany?
I don't know. I've never been, but my wife's dad, my father-in-law, is from Belgium, so he's got a little Europe background in the family, so I'll have to call him and ask.
What do you know about Frankfurt, Germany in general? What do you know?
I don't know too much, and I'm really excited to find out.
You know about Tyreek Hill a lot.
He's very fast.
Yeah, you chased him around a bit.
Yeah.
Just go back into your little memory there, and just the matchups battling, going up against him, and what did you learn, and what can you take from that you can put into this game?
He's really fast. He's really good after the catch. You got to take good angles. He's a great competitor, and at any given moment, we had a play last year where we were playing really well, playing good defense against the Dolphins. We force a fumble, the ball's like in the pile, it shoots out, and Tyreek, literally, we blink our eyes and he took it 75 to the house. It's like, man, you have a play where you force a turnover and then this guy creates. And so it's just like that for 4 quarters or however long it goes.
Drew, do you feel like he's a different player in any way than he was when he was playing for the Chiefs, when you used to play against him then?
I'm sure they're finding creative ways to use him with motions in. There's this like out motion thing that's become a popular thing in the NFL, but man, he's still the same fast, elusive Tyreek Hill that I remember.
What's the best way to get to Tua?
Well, he gets the ball out quick. He's good with his decision making. I think it's going to be a rush and coverage working together. Like if we just give him quick rhythm throws, the D-line is never going to have a chance to get there. He's got one of the quickest releases in the NFL, just statistically, and so we're going to have good coverage on the back end and make it a one-dimensional game. If they're allowed to run the ball and set up their play actions, it's going to be tough. But if we can get ahead, if we can get 3 and outs, get Pat the ball, and create a one-dimensional game where he's got to drop back, we'll have a better shot.
Sure, you guys started the season probably with one of the deeper linebacker rooms in the league, and now it's really getting tested. How do you feel like you guys can hold up, especially since you're going to be the guy calling these plays?
Yeah, I think we can hold up well. I think we got great personnel in that room. I think we've got a great leader in Coach Brendan Daly. And I think they do a great job of putting us in good positions. And obviously we're deep in that room. We've got good experience. And so, as guys heal, we're going to have other guys step up, and we'll certainly continue to do that.
Drew, I know the culture of this team is not one that the offense is mad at the defense is mad at the offense, right? The offense had a tough day, they turned the ball over. But just the frustration, it looked like Pat even had a moment where, he ran into Donovan and went down, and you kind of saw his head slump and kind of tossed the ball. When you keep having to go back out there, right? Is there do you have to pick yourself up? Is there one guy on the team that's kind of tries to get everybody back up, or does it eventually, the way it just kept going wrong for you against Denver, does it eventually wear everybody down and you kind of see guys start hanging their heads?
Yeah, I don't know. As a player, I think you see it more as like an opportunity. Man, we got to win this game on defense today. It's not going the right way. And there's moments like that when the offense is like, man, our defense is struggling. We got to win the game on offense. And so it's a cool thing about football. It's a team game. And so week to week, you have to win games differently. Weather elements can play a factor in that. And so we saw it as a challenge, as an opportunity. We obviously started in some unfavorable, field positions, but I don't know. At least me personally, I see it like, man, let's be the reason today, we win the game.
Have you traveled and played in an international game before?
I did Mexico City my rookie year.
What is the travel isn't as long as it will be to Frankfurt, but have you found a way to kind of not let the tiredness and the long travel get to you? I mean, drinking green tea or doing something. Is there something you do when travel is a major part of the trip?
I mean, I think there's obviously factors that like dehydration and sleep will be critical. But like I said, I've never flown overseas this way, and so it'll be new to me. It's going to be new to a lot of our guys, and it's just a part of our job. We're pro athletes. We got to find a way, and I don't think we're going to have an issue being juiced up and ready to go this Sunday.
Drew, when your quarterback's not feeling 100% and reportedly had the flu, what does it mean to you and some of your teammates to see him out there battle like that and still try to push his way through to help you guys win?
Well, I think it just speaks to Pat's character. I mean, he's a competitor. He wants to be the best, wants to be the greatest, and you see that each and every Sunday. He's going to do everything he can to be out there.
And when you go to Germany, is there anything you got on the checklist that you want to try or do?
Well, like I mentioned, my father-in-law, who's from Belgium, he lives in Croatia now, but he's going to be out there. I'll get to see him, and hopefully he'll take me to a good restaurant or something.
Drew, I'm not trying to get you in trouble here, but from my perspective, I have no idea what's holding and not holding on receivers, what's pass interference and what isn't. It seems very arbitrary from game to game. I know Andy's talked about the team scouts the officials, so you kind of know, hey, they call this, they call that. How accurate is the scouting report on them for what you see end up playing? Like I said, from my vantage point, it seems very arbitrary. Well, no matter what team's playing, do you feel like you go in, you got a pretty good read on what they are? Does that end up being accurate, or does every game look to you like it looks to me? Like, I don't know what they're calling.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it varies crew to crew. Like sometimes crews emphasize offensive holding. Sometimes crews emphasize illegal man downfield. I think it too is a week to week thing. Like the media gets up in arms about a certain call in a game, and then the NFL is going to emphasize that and put that on their officials' tape. So I think it varies. There's ebbs and flows. They got a tough job, and we got a tough job too as players. And so at the end of the day, everyone wants to win. The officials want to get it right. We as players want to get it right, and it's just a tough deal.
Have you ever been burned in your career because you didn't want to hit a quarterback, even though he might be scrambling? You didn't want to hit him because he's a quarterback. Have you ever been burned by that?
I don't know that I've ever encountered that. No, I think I might have had one where I landed on him too hard and I got a sack or a TFL taken away, but not that I can recall.
Drew, looking at Tua, does it change your preparation at all defensively when you're facing a left-handed quarterback, or does it not matter that much?
I mean, they'll just have offensive tendencies. Maybe their boot game is switched one way. They like to go to our right instead of our left, which we see on a typical week. But, certainly like when you're mirroring the quarterback's hand, like I'm not going to be using my left hand. I'm going to be using, my right hand. And so just small things like that.
Last one.
Drew, with a player like Tyreek that has the speed that he does, do you ever get used to it on the field, or is it just kind of jarring from time to time?
Yeah, I don't know that you get used to it. You got, like I said, it's you might have good angles for 2 quarters, and then you take a bad angle, and he cuts back and reverse. Just small things like that.
Last one.
Drew, with a player like Tyreek that has the speed that he does, do you ever get used to it on the field, or is it just kind of jarring from time to time?
Yeah, I don't know that you get used to it. You got, like I said, it's you might have good angles for 2 quarters, and then you take a bad angle, and he cuts back and reverses field, and you got a big play on your hands. And so it's, when a guy runs 4.2 or whatever he runs, and it's not just him. They've got Jalen Waddle, they got Raheem Mostert. They've got all types of speed. So it's gonna be a challenge. It's gonna be fun though.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks guys.
All right, there's Drew Tranquill getting ready for this trip to Germany. And Tyreek, interesting, I forgot that the Tyreek recovers fumble, returns or takes it for 50 yards to the house was against the Chargers and Drew Tranquill. So that's interesting, that story. But also talking about Tua, the offense, the rush and coverage has to work together. Can you make that offense one-dimensional? Well, we'll see. Teams have tried. A couple of teams have been able to do that, and they've won the game.
And I think Drew Tranquill would be the player on the Chiefs who has seen Tyreek Hill the most from the defensive side of the field. That's with his time in L.A. and sharing the division for a while, and then that game you mentioned. So
certainly as playing a game, Justin Reed has seen Tyreek in the playoffs. A couple times they've played in the regular season when he was with the Texans. L'Jarius Sneed has seen Tyreek a lot in practice.
Right. Which, again, as we stumbled into earlier, wild that he is the only guy in that secondary who was on the same team as Tyreek Hill.
That's just one. That's probably the more jarring part of when we talk about the secondary being rebuilt. Like just to think that they're is one player in the secondary that has gone up against Tyreek Hill in practice.
A good
We're talking
young
about
secondary with one rookie, really, in Shamari Connor. Like, it's not like that this was the year they reinvested that way. It's really wild.
Yeah. So everybody will get a firsthand look at Tyreek, but the Dolphins' offense is more than just Tyreek.
Yep.
They have a lot of different things going for him. It's just he takes them to another level. Him on the field does a lot of things to defenses to try to figure out what they're doing and to be aware of that guy that's out there, and the Chiefs are going to have to be aware of him. They also got to be aware of Jalen Waddle. They got to be aware of Raheem Mostert running the ball. They got to be aware of Raheem Mostert out of the backfield. All three of those guys can take it to the house with a touch and can outrun some angles.
I think it's also interesting that Amenahu and Tranquil both talked about Tua being a rhythm and timing quarterback.
Yeah.
Which you could spin that into it being a knock, a backhanded compliment even. And it's just what he is. I mean, Tua out of rhythm, out of structure is not an MVP sort of player. And Tua in rhythm, in structure with these weapons absolutely is.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of the the little Tua-non battle they have to have in Miami. We get to opt out of a lot of that. But there's no secret in the meeting room. I think we got to get Tua off rhythm, off time. And just if we can just jack up that timing a little bit, then you put something in the gears for the Rams offense.
And the part about Tua being left-handed, how much do you change? And said, well, there's a change in terms of mirroring his hand, the boot game, and Drew Tranquil's been awesome in the bootlegs this year. I mean, that fourth down that he was all over Russell Wilson on the naked boot, and then he played it perfectly. He sat back a little bit, making sure that easy pass wasn't there. And then as he saw that Russell was, working more to Russell Wilson's right, Drew Tranquil's left, he started closing the gap. And then when Russell tucked it, Drew Tranquil hit the afterburners and then caused a fumble. I mean, Russell Wilson ended up fumbling that ball on fourth down. If it's just fumbled inbounds and the Chiefs fall on it, no big deal. But they should be coached at this level, and I'm assuming they are, but sometimes you lose your mind that on a fourth down, if there's a fumble, you scoop and score. You don't fall on it. Because if they recover it there, you get the ball anyway. Scoop and score no matter what. So hopefully that is the case moving forward, but it might have been the case there. Who knows? But he was awesome in the boot game. Here's Sky Moore.
Over the second half of the season?
Yeah, just do a better job of finishing the opportunities that I get. When they come, just make the play.
How much were you affected on that pass into the end zone the other day in Denver by the defensive guy? How much of a grab was that?
It was a grab, but it was you get grabbed every play. So I'm expected to make that catch. I know that, but on to the next play.
Sky, Travis Kelce in his podcast is going to read something to you. He said, "This stuff is frustrating. Not putting up touchdowns week after week. It's getting old. Guys running the wrong routes. Guys not making blocks. Guys dropping the football. It's frustrating." How would you just assess with not only what Travis is saying, but just as you guys as a whole with what's going on?
Yeah, it's that's just like just an echo of the locker room. We all feel like that. We feel like we're not our usual self at the moment, and we're working every day to get back on track.
How do you try to fix that halfway through a season where you feel like maybe you would have some things on track that may not be on track where you want it?
Just getting back to the basics and keep coming into work there every day. At the end of the day, we know we're a good football team. We just gotta we gotta fix up the little details that we know we'll need in the long run.
Scott, you guys run through like 5, 6, 7 receivers a game in and out and such. Just how much does that add to the challenge and staying in the rhythm and getting something going in your own experience?
I really don't see it as a challenge. We're hitting everybody's getting in. It's 7 totally different receivers, so new weapons each play.
Are you excited to go to Germany?
Yes, I am. I've never been out the country, so this will be my first time.
What are you anticipating, whether it's the fans and the way they cheer like soccer games, or the long flyover, how you handle that so, the fatigue doesn't set in? What are some of the things you've been told about that you're kind of anticipating?
Really, for me, it's just like the plane ride. Just getting over there and being able to stay hydrated, stay basically in shape, ready to play a football game.
Can you sleep on a plane sitting up?
Yeah, I can sleep anywhere.
You can sleep anywhere?
Yeah.
Have you been learning any German?
Nah.
How are you going to pack for this trip? Drew said he's got an uncle from Europe helping him how to dress.
Yeah.
You're representing the United States. How are you packing for this?
I'm not going to treat it any different. You know, at the end of the day, it's a business trip. So I'm gonna pack what I need, and do my job when I get over there.
Scott, general thoughts on what you've seen for the Dolphins defense when you're looking above them?
Yeah, they got a lot of good players. You know, we know it's going to be a dogfight.
Jalen Ramsey's out there now.
Yeah.
Just, you've seen him around forever. So what
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
think about challenge that one of these?
It's a great challenge. You know, for us to get out there and go against good competition in a game that really means something.
To get the bad taste out of your mouth from the last game, does this game come quick enough?
You know, it never does. You know, when you put a performance like that out, but we'll be ready for it when it does.
You said that there's been a lot of communication in the locker room. How do you anticipate the offense to respond after some of the things that just happened last week, generally speaking?
I would expect us to come out firing on all cylinders. I feel like every position group knows what they have to do, and we're gonna hone in onto the details and get the job done.
Sky, what's your level of satisfaction with how you performed this season overall?
Never really satisfied. I'd say definitely, like I said, there's more that I can get from my opportunities, and just looking to build on that the rest of the season.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right, there's Sky Moore as they head to Germany tomorrow. We'll take a timeout. We will come back. We'll continue rolling more zone right after this.
The Zone with Jason Anderson is presented by Guaranteed Foods.
All right, we continue on this Wednesday edition of The Zone. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Dylan Michaels. We had up until 2 o'clock. So Petra, the program comes your way at 2. Hearing from Andy Reid, hearing from Drew Tranquil, Sky Moore, Charles Omenihu. They are talking about the Miami Dolphins and their plans for the trip to Germany. How do you try to stay on schedule in some sort of a routine or some normalcy, which is obviously a big backdrop to this game. The obvious backdrop to this game being how crucial it is for the postseason and playoff implications, and both teams tied with the same record, and the winner would obviously have a game better plus the tiebreaker there, so it is huge from that standpoint the rest of the way. And who comes out victorious? Can the Chiefs turn around what the performance was against the Broncos and show that they are not that team, and they're closer to the team that they were, let's say, against the Chargers or whatever. And that's going to be crucial coming up this weekend against the Dolphins. And how does that defense play against the Dolphins' offense? But all of those sort of things going into it. You're preparing for a game. You're getting ready for an incredible offense. It's a crucial game, and it is in Germany. And you've got that long flight. But as Andy Reid said, very big chairs, a lot of space to stretch out. But can you sleep on a plane? I don't know. Some people can, some people can't. But I feel like you're almost forced to a degree to sleep on the plane just to start getting that change in your circadian rhythm, depending on what time they leave. That would be tough because they're going to be playing at 4 o'clock in the afternoon there in Germany, but the body's going to feel like 8 o'clock. So in theory, they're going to feel like they've been up throughout the night and getting ready to play that game. But as Charles Omenihu said, I don't sleep anyway.
He was telling after his first game back that he was up at the crack of dawn and amped and ready to go at 6 a.m. Well, hey, now 6 a.m. is 2.5 hours till kick.
Get it, man.
So I guess go ahead and get up.
Go get it, dude. Unless maybe you just keep your clock to where whenever you wake up, you act like the 4 o'clock game there is like noon.
Yeah.
And so whatever time you would wake up, you just get up like whatever 4 hours difference would be. And it's like, okay, no, this is going to be a noon game. And my watch and everything, I'm going to have it set to Central Time. And here we go. It's noon time. This is what I would do at 10 o'clock. This is what I'm doing at 10:45. My 11:15 routine. This is everything that I'm doing as we're leading up to the game. Because all of that is different when you're playing a Thursday night, a Monday night, a Sunday night, a noon, a 3:25, a Saturday, 8:30 in Germany. All of those things are sort of different as opposed to when, Todd was in here yesterday and we were talking about back in the day when 13 of the 16 games they played was like noon on Sunday. And the other 3 games were 3 o'clock because they were in the division in the West Coast. That's not the case anymore. They've got one Sunday noon game that they have already played. The next noon game comes on Christmas. So, I mean...
thanks for reminding me of that. I'd almost forgotten that was happening.
No, you're welcome.
It's funny because obviously the Chiefs, I'm sure, have like their best case scenario for here's it would be great to sleep and try to get your brain set up for this. But as we heard just in the layout of responses from the guys there, it's gonna vary from person to person because that's what happens. And so if you're the type of person that doesn't, especially going over there as late in the week as they are, I don't know, you want to just try to trick yourself into just staying on the same schedule and being ready for a game that kicks off at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. I don't know, if you're up bright and early on Sunday, maybe you can make that happen. But it is another like almost randomizing factor. Like just imagine if Tyreek Hill doesn't sleep for 2 days. He might not be the one person it wouldn't really affect, but for the sake of the analogy,
imagine if
the
he's
hypothetical,
just slightly slower.
If he just like couldn't sleep on the plane and his REM cycle is all messed up, and now he is half a step slower. We might never know that that's what ended up causing that, but some weird little thing would happen. We have to put an asterisk on the first game the Chiefs have lost to the Broncos in 17 games because Patrick Mahomes had the flu. I don't really know what that was doing to his body or to his focus or to his actual physical strength. It would be great if this game was just in Kansas City, some Sunday night football that we could all lead up to.
Yep.
I'm still a little bit bummed. I think the international series is kind of fun. This game feels like it should be too important to ship out of the country.
Yeah, no doubt. And I don't think there's, at least in my mind, I don't think there's any question that Patrick Mahomes looked a little lethargic out there on the game. It looked like there was less energy to his game, to his play, a little bit slower. And those things happen. There are a lot of people that have had the flu. Almost everybody has probably had the flu. And I know this. I ain't trying to go out there, put on pads and a football helmet and go through and then yell and talk and all of that stuff. Not what I want to do.
What if it's also very cold? Does that help?
Yeah, it does actually. It just numbs the pain.
Actually, I wonder if it would. Away. Probably better than it being in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
I would
probably,
think.
yes. With hot and sweaty and, no thank you. But, there's a lot of people that know what it's like to be jet lagged.
Yep.
And, when we go to Tahoe or when we go to Super Bowls, and it's like, okay, so, see, it's... I'm on at 10 o'clock there, but it's 8. I'm on till 8 to noon here. And so then it's like, okay, I get up at this time when I'm at home. But now I'm getting up at this time. So then what time am I going to bed? And then there are some times where you're doing the show and you're like, my mind's just sort of groggy.
Yep.
That's there. Now, I'm not out playing a football game, so maybe the body wouldn't have been groggy as much as the mind. And if I actually then started running or exercising as opposed to just sitting there eating food and watching people play golf and then doing my show, maybe it would be different. I'm not sure. I haven't tried
There's
it.
no way of knowing.
Yes.
I mean,
who could possibly know the difference with working out? I'll let somebody else give it the old college try. I'm going to keep doing this and hope it's all fine.
if I get on a plane and land at another destination, I'm not working out until I get on a plane back to the home destination. Even
Yeah.
then, I might take off another full trip just to be safe.
Yeah, the people that go on vacation and work out, good for you.
Yeah,
I mean, well done.
A little
Doesn't
bit
sound like
tongue-in-cheek,
vacation to me.
you seem like a bad person, but in a lot of ways, you're an inspiration.
You're sort of
My
like...
dad is one of those people, I guess. Maybe that gene skips a generation.
I've always thought of your dad as a bad person / inspiration. So that totally fits the bill.
And he's still in better shape than me.
Well, if he's running and working out, that he's in better shape than me, too.
Yeah.
He's in better shape than a lot of people if he's doing that. He's a runner, and it shows. So, good for him. But, we've all sort of felt that jet lag from time to time, and we'll see what the Chiefs do. Charles Omenihu, mindset. It's in the mind. Mindset has to be right. That going into this game is how we approach it. Understand that, the sleep pattern, whatever it might be, get your mind right. Get your mind right, ready to go against this team, no matter what time it kicks off. You get to play football. He was also weighing in and asking and asked about, this is a bigger game and the prep for that. And now it's everything. Everything's the same. And I don't know how much. I think people and football players may try to approach it that way, and maybe some accomplish it. But it would be really difficult and almost to the point of being robotic for subconsciously even your mind going, nope, this is the exact same game this week. The Broncos, the exact same game this week as the same game it was against the Chargers last week, and the Broncos on that Thursday night, and the Dolphins next week, and the Eagles on Monday night. It's the exact same. I think it would be next to impossible for 17 games for you to go in and think every single game is the exact same, and I'm going to approach it, and my energy level is going to be the same for those. The Dolphins are a bigger game than what was last weekend, and I think the team played like the Broncos wasn't exactly the game. If they played the Dolphins last week, I don't think they looked that lethargic on the field.
Yeah.
And if that was just one of those weeks they were going to look lethargic, well, then thank God they didn't play the Dolphins last week, right? And we'll see what they do this week. But there are just times when you're going through the course of the season that when you're the Chiefs, and yes, you want to win games to get there, but so much of your season starts in January, and sort of getting there. It may make sense for Omenihu when that was his second game of the year.
Right.
Oh, no, this isn't bigger than the Broncos. Well, yeah, because it's the third game you've played this year. It is not game number 8 for the rest of the team. Game number 9, whatever it is, they're 6-2. So game number 9 for the rest of the team. It's game number 3 for you. But man, that would be really difficult and robotic for you to be able to go through 17 games, right? And consciously and subconsciously approach it the exact same way. Like, it's only natural and human to do that.
Omenihu, the first game back, said that he was getting amped all day and was just so excited to be back out there, but he plays better when he's calm. So he had to to shift down a little bit for that game. I do think that some guys can say that and have it be mostly true. Just the way you're wired, whatever, maybe there's something to that.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes has the same pregame routine and still yells at the stands, regardless of who they're playing. I think it's a really interesting point to say if you are getting up more for other games, it means you're not getting up as much for others. But that, I think, is human nature. I think players tell on themselves that way on the games they are more amped for. They say, yeah, hell yeah, it's a divisional game. It's special. Or it's a team we've seen before and they got us last time in the Bengals case. We know they were more up for the Bengals rematches than they were for the Broncos rematches. Yeah. That's not, you're not saying anything crazy there, but it does crack that door open to get out-energied by someone else. And that's the common thread, not the only issue. But the clear common thread between the two Chiefs losses this season is that week one, the message from the Chiefs was, we're just starting a year. It's a long season. We're going to take care of business week one. We're going to take care of business week two. We're going to go to 3, 4, and we're going to keep counting all the way up. And that was so thoroughly, we had our victory laps. The Super Bowl's been celebrated. We had the draft, and we went to the White House, and we had the ring ceremony. And that was the last time we actually thought about last year. Well, the fans in the stands were thinking about last year, and more importantly, the Lions were thinking about last year. Because the Lions were not preparing to beat the 0-0 team out of the AFC West who wears red. That's not who they're preparing for. The Lions, every day in practice, were preparing for the reigning Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. And I frankly think that there was a little bit of a misstep there, just kind of in how the tone was set that week. I wasn't in the building. I'm not saying Andy Reid completely misread the whole thing, but I think the Lions were way more excited for that game than the Chiefs were, and the Broncos were way more excited to get revenge in Denver and to end the streak than the Chiefs were to protect it. If you say, hey, we've dominated this team, and if you mother bleepers are the one who end this streak, I'm going to lose my mind. I think it was McDuffie who didn't even know about the streak until after postgame a couple weeks ago when they beat the Broncos here. That is a hard line to balance on. Andy Reid's been doing it for longer than I've been alive, and so I think that finding that sweet spot is a very active process, but it's something that you have to keep in mind, and I think we've seen evidence that the Chiefs have been impacted by at least a little bit this year.
Well, the Chiefs didn't bring it against the Colts last year.
Right.
I mean, it's a game we talk about a lot, and that was early in the season that they didn't bring it against the Colts. They didn't bring it against the Texans. They didn't bring it against the Broncos. What do those things have in common? They are teams where you look at and go, this is an inferior team. We should dominate this team. Not saying your prep work is any different, but subconsciously, are you... maybe I don't have to spend the 5 extra minutes. You know, the Chiefs, and they've played the Broncos multiple times. It's the second time they played the Broncos, so it's a little bit different, but the point still stands in that this week preparing for the Dolphins as opposed to the Broncos is there extra film work and film study put in by the secondary of, let me watch Jalen Waddles break off the line of scrimmage as opposed to let me see what Courtland Sutton does off the line of scrimmage and his quick little, does he stutter? Does, how does he approach? Let me find the reps that he's gone up against a guy that's going to have the technique that I'm going to use this weekend on him. Are you doing a little bit more of that? Or are you just every single week you're doing the same exact thing? That could be the case because they are professionals in being able to do that. But it's hard to say that, well, you showed up the same against this team and that team and that team and that team when there are games that happen in the NFL that are inexplicable, that on paper those things should not happen. But that's why they play 17 games. That's the adage of it's why you play the game. Sunday was a great example of why you play the game because you don't go into the game saying, well, what's going to happen in this game? I think the Chiefs are going to turn it over 5 times.
Right.
We create a scenario when you say, how do the Chiefs lose? Yep. Well, they helped the Broncos. And the Chiefs helped the Broncos. I mean, after the game was over, Andy Reid spent more time talking about his team and the issues that they had rather than complimenting the other team. I mean,
Patrick Mahomes straight up said it was the same thing they did last time a couple weeks ago. Same stuff defensively.
Except we gave him the ball 5 times this go around. And also didn't convert in the red zone. So we did the same thing in not converting in the red zone, only then we gave the ball away in opportunities where it would have been 1st and 10 at the 42-yard line in Denver territory, down 7-3. And you fumble. You've got a 14-6. You're down 14-6, and you've got 1st and 10 at what, the 20-something yard line before half, and you get sacked and fumble. You give up the ball. I'm not saying they would have scored touchdowns there, but even if they get field goals, it's only 3 extra points because they ended up getting a field goal before half and all of that stuff. But you take away the opportunity to
with
go
the brief
and get
miracle that they needed to end up with that field goal before half.
Yeah, which also may have cost you Willie Gay.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, with the injuries that are there, Andy Reid, if you're just joining us, the injury updates. Jerick McKinnon not practicing with
sore groin,
tender groin, and Willie Gay, the lower back contusion, is getting better, but he will not practice today. Asked about is IR a possibility? He said, I don't think so. I don't want to give you a yay or nay, but he's making progress, so I don't think that's what's going to happen. And then Richie James, the 21-day practice window opened for him. He is practicing. They have 21 days to activate him from the IR, so he is practicing. With the Chiefs is Richie James. Those are the injury updates. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. We'll be there through Monday, one of those two. We'll ask him. But he's in Germany right now. We'll get the lay of the land, see what's going on there, and his thoughts on the Chiefs and Dolphins and the game there in Germany. What is his circadian rhythm like?
Well, 30 minutes ago, he tweeted, "Our office for the day, and there's not one, but 2 pints of beer on the desk." So we're getting Mick Schaefer after dark again.
That's a good point.
Wow.
That's an almost entirely sports joint.
Yeah, it really is. You should ask him about seafood. I think he loves this stuff.
I'm not going to. I'm going to ask him about German food. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Dylan Michaels. We had up until 2 o'clock. Sprint Petro, the program comes your way at 2 o'clock. Right now, we head to Germany, where we find KSHB 41 Sports Director Mick Schaefer there in Germany. Mick, how are you, sir?
What's up, boys? I'm doing great. A little tired. Texting with Josh earlier. I don't know if I'm morning tired or night tired. Maybe both right now.
So, what was the schedule yesterday for you? When did you leave? When did you arrive? And when did you sleep? And when did you go to the bathroom?
So yesterday's a moving target. I believe yesterday. Right now it refers to Tuesday, but Tuesday we got to KCI at noon. A lot of equipment, right? Got to do the customs, make sure you're there.
Sure.
Enough time. We ran to the Chiefs cheerleaders. We talked to some Chiefs fans, yada, yada. Got on the flight, flew to Chicago, had about a 2-hour layover there, did some more videos and some more stuff back for the shows, and then got on our plane at 7 o'clock, and then was on the plane until about 8:50 because there's some de-icing issues, which is it's good. Yeah, you want to go ahead and get those planes, those wings de-iced. I'm good.
Taken care of before that long trip?
Because it was snowing in Chicago, and we're flying over the Atlantic. Yeah, so go ahead and do that. So they did. But it was delayed an hour and a half. We didn't get up in the air till 9, and so 9 means no, Jason, in Germany too. And so it was a little less than an 8-hour flight, I think, from Chicago to Frankfurt. We landed at about 10:20 local time here, which would be 4:20 in the morning. I think I had about 3 hours sleep in between watching the latest Indiana Jones and the third latest John Wick. I watched John Wick 2. I think I fell asleep at some point in John Wick 2, but I'm guessing
That's tough to do.
Killed a lot of people in close range and dodged a million bullets.
Don't mess with his dog.
Yeah, he didn't die. It's John Wick 3 and 4, so I'm sure he, survived that movie.
Shockingly, it's a different character. So it's
right. Yeah.
John Wick Jr.
Not Keanu Reeves. It's it's the other guy from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure actually playing.
Amazing.
And it was a big plane. We were not first class, but my photographer and I, Chase Lucas, we had nobody sitting between us, so we kind of curled up our knees at some point and put up the armrest and tried to get a little more comfortable because of that on our flight over here. But then you just got to stay up. You got to push through it because we got here and immediately had to do hits for the morning show. And then right now we're editing our stuff for 4, 5, 6, and 10 o'clock. And I'm sipping on a Pilsner, a paddle burger Pilsner, because it is not, 1 o'clock there. It is 7 o'clock here. It is 7 o'clock here.
Okay.
So that's might have been up a little over 30 hours.
So 2 hours ago at 11 o'clock in the morning, you could have been like, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. In fact, where you were.
Exactly.
Where you were. It's like, why are you drinking
we were downtown Frankfurt. We went to, so Frankfurt is a very modern city. I didn't know a whole lot about it, right? It's right in the middle of Germany. It's not the biggest city. It's the 5th biggest city. It's not as big as Munich or Berlin, but it is the most modern. It is considered like the financial capital of Germany. In a lot of ways, it kind of reminds you of like Chicago. It's a very vertical city. A lot of skyscrapers. I learned today that 14 of the 15 tallest buildings in all of Germany are right there in downtown Frankfurt.
How about that?
And so it kind of, you have a Chicago feel, but size-wise, it's like 2.3 million in the metro area, so kind of similar to Kansas City as far as population goes. The airport is out of this world, modern and new and big and awesome. It's a gigantic airport. We're staying in the Hilton right next to it, so it's been a cool trip so far. We got days left.
What's the story you're looking most forward to doing and covering and putting together, and the package of being there in Germany?
There's a lot of them.
There can only be one that you're most excited about.
One. Let me. I'm going to verbally narrow it down.
It's the Highlander. There can only be one.
Throw out some other, just some other nominees out there. We're talking Tyreek Hill tomorrow. That'll be good. We're getting on the Eppelwei tour, which is basically it's a tour of the city. It's basically the downtown tram, basically here in town. It takes you around all the sites and places of interest in the city. It's kind of like the streetcar of Frankfurt. They're famous for their apple wine, so we're going to this apple wine restaurant tomorrow night. There's a story on that. That's booze. So
what a great idea. You know, they're known for all this alcohol. We should do a story on that.
My field producer thought of that. I don't have a field producer. That's me. The Chiefs, the championship is kind of cool. Have you seen that? Right?
No, I haven't.
Yacht that is decorated all in Chiefs stuff with Lombardi trophies, with Mahomes' face on it, Kelsey, Chris Jones, all those guys. And it is just roaming up and down the Main River, which is actually called the Main River here in Frankfurt. They pronounce it Main, but it's spelled Nain. And it'll be docked on Friday and Saturday, and so Chiefs fans can go aboard the yacht. It's decorated in Chiefs colors and all that. And there's tours, there's season ticket events there, and so we'll be on that on Friday. And then the Chiefs kind of finally get here on Friday. We'll see their practice. That'll be cool, just kind of seeing where they practice, talk to Mahomes, some of those guys.
Yeah.
But obviously, narrowing down the best thing's going to be there's a huge pep rally party on Saturday with DJ and everything. I think it starts at 6:00, runs till like midnight. But it's all these Chiefs fan groups from all over Europe.
Oh, wow.
There's one in Frankfurt. I'm on a text thread with like 60 of them from Scotland, England, Wales, France, Belgium, Italy. They're all over, and they apparently don't have jobs because all they do is text this WhatsApp thread. I'll look down. I'll have 90 new texts. I'm like, I just checked that 10 minutes ago. Yep, and so I cannot keep up. But they're all of them have said they're eager to talk on camera. So we'll have plenty of content on that day. So that's maybe my favorite thing. Can't wait for Saturday.
Yeah, that's man. I mean, that is one of the cool parts about like whenever the Chiefs go on the road and things like that. Like my brother was, on vacation the week they played the Chargers. So a couple of weeks ago, and it was the national game, and so they went into I can't remember which city, but either way, they found a Chiefs bar in that city in Florida. Yep. And they're like, yeah, we're going to head to this Chiefs bar there, which is pretty awesome, right? I mean, you just go to different places like, oh, there's a bar that is just all Chiefs fans get together and go and do that. But it's also sort of fascinating that, I'd love to hear just curious on some of the stories. Like, are you from the United States? Why did you start rooting for the Chiefs? Is it, do you go back to your time with NFL Europa? And as Carl Peterson would call it, not NFL Europe, NFL Europa. Does it go back to then and that you liked the Chiefs? Like the origin stories behind people that live in Europe that root for the Kansas City Chiefs? Because my origin story is very easy. I was born here.
That's boring. We don't look for that story in news. We look for this one. Some guy told me, he said something to the effect of him and a buddy. He's from. I'm not sure where he was part of the text thread. I'm not sure where he's from, but somewhere in Europe. Him and a buddy just had like a bet or basically a coin flip on who they were going to cheer for in the NFL, and for some reason it came down to the Chiefs and the Falcons.
Oh, no.
And he lost the coin flip, and the other guy chose the Falcons. This is years ago. And, careful what you wish for there. And so now he just became a Chiefs fan. And it's cool. So the Chiefs have, like, the three things going for them that create international acclaim and fandom, right? You're winning, right? They're the most successful franchise in football the last 5 years, the last 10 years. They've won 2 of the last 4 Lombardi trophies. They have the face of the league, right? You have a star quarterback player, and almost like the number 2, right, with Travis Kelce these days. And then they come from a great place. I mean, so many people that I've met are like, we went to Kansas City, and it was the best place. They talk about the barbecue. They talk about the tailgating.
They talk about the fountains.
Take for granted.
Did they talk about the
Talk
fountains?
about all the mountains. They talk about all the fountains. Yeah, the mountains and the fountains.
The fountains. They talk about the fountains. Yes.
Yeah. And so they love the place. So the three things. I mean, you have a great place, great players, and great results. And it's just taken off. I was talking with Stacey Dales, who was on our flight. She is going to be a part of the the broadcast pre-post and in-game. She's a Sooner, so I told her how much I hated her. But then after that, she was asking about just the buzz in Kansas City. I'm like, we just don't know what to do with our hands. We don't know what to do, right? This is, I mean, Chiefs games have turned into Lakers games, right? We don't know. We're not used to this kind of acclaim, right? Ryan Reynolds shows up to a Chiefs game, and it's kind of like, old news. He's like, that's not the biggest story there, right? But nobody knew Rob Lowe was at Arrowhead a few weeks ago. Yeah. Nobody knew, and he was just walking around.
Yeah. I mean,
probably the generic NFL hat on.
Right. And Ryan Reynolds is there, and his wife is cheering on the Chiefs because her best friend is dating a Chief. So you got, Blake Lively screaming, "Go Chiefs" and stuff, which is pretty awesome to see. Are you watching the game on Saturday with Stacey Dales?
I wish. Well, I won't be on the sidelines. I'll be in the press box. But
no, I mean Bedlam.
Oh no! Hopefully, I cannot find that, Jason. Hopefully, hopefully, I won't be able to see it. I'm going to make a minimal effort, and sorry. Sports television over here is a little different over there. I went through 190 channels in my hotel room today. Went through it. No ESPNs. None of the ESPNs. Not even the Ocho. Nothing. I'm sitting here in our lobby bars. We're editing and ordering food, sipping on the Pilsner, and I'm watching pool. They have. Euro Sports Channel has pool on right now, but they're not about to show college football. And you know what? That's just fine with me because all my buddies are excited. All my kids are excited. I'm like, I've seen this movie before, kids. Okay, no State riding high. OU coming off just lost, looking vulnerable. Yeah, they told my son they won 8 times. Oklahoma State has in my lifetime against OU, and I'm 46. And then my son was like, yeah, they've only won 3 in mine. I'm 16.
Yeah, it's it's funny because Todd doesn't think Oklahoma's going to win. So both sides are like, we're going to lose. Oklahoma's like, we're going to lose.
2 terrible football teams with 2 combined conference losses. You guys suck, both of you.
We're totally going to lose that team.
Todd's the most unique OU fan I've ever met because he's the only one I've ever met that actually went to the school. So he's
says a guy who went to KU.
Says
a guy that went to KU and is an Oklahoma State fan.
Are you jet lagged in a glass house
that's
right
not
now?
Like Oklahoma State's not like a bandwagon attraction.
True.
I'm like the only guy who cheers for them who's never gone, didn't go to the university.
You're actually the only person I know who went to KU and doesn't root for them. Like, you're the inverse of that.
I have an easy out. I could just cheer my butt off for KU basketball. I'm like, man. I will cheer for the team going 18-12, okay, and just missing the NCAA tournament. Thank you very much.
It's too bad you chose to root for a team that doesn't respect the NCAA's rules when KU is right there for you.
Over and over again, right? Yeah.
That coin flip of Oklahoma State or KU, it sucks that you lost that one.
I took Oklahoma State first.
Your friends took KU. That's too bad, yeah. Mick Schaefer is there in Germany. We were talking about this a little bit earlier today because we were discussing who was going to be at the podium for the Chiefs today, and Charles Omenihu and Drew Tranquil and Sky Moore talked along with Andy Reid, but typically Wednesday is quarterback day, but Patrick Mahomes, understandably, is going to have his big press conference on Friday. Yeah. And he'll be there with Chris Jones, Andy Reid, of course, and Travis Kelce. And Josh and I were talking, and we asked ourselves that on that press conference on Friday, or in that press conference on Friday, will there be more football questions for Kelce or Taylor Swift questions for Kelce? And the way that you can categorize these, if there's a question to Travis about Taylor Swift that is football related, is still Taylor Swift. So when Taylor Swift is at the game and she's not at the game, and that's a Taylor Swift question. All right, it's either football or anything related to Taylor Swift. I said more Swift questions than football questions.
I think so because I think we're the only television station here from Kansas City. Who else is going to be over here? Probably a couple star guys. I don't know if Nate Taylor's going to be here. There won't be too many regulars.
Yeah, Tysher will be there.
At the press. Yeah. Tysher will. Good. Okay.
Yes, you get to hang out with him.
You can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
I like that.
Yes. But the draw, like if you're a media outlet and your fans aren't diehard football fans and you're trying to reach the cast a wider net over the people that might be clicking and reading your story, when Travis Kelce is there, the way to attract the wider net would be questions about Taylor Swift and not just about, hey, you're playing against Tyreek and this Miami defense and coming off the Broncos game and things like that. And Travis, are you going to the Rangers game tonight? Things like that on a Friday, which would be a hell of a story. Now, that would be a story. If Travis Kelce is at Game 6 of the Rangers on Friday night, then we got a story, guys. Then we got a story. Not necessarily this last Friday.
Coming Friday.
If he's there that Friday night in Game 6, if the Diamondbacks win tonight and the Rangers play in Dallas in Game 6 on Friday, and Kelce makes that game, we've got a real story.
I think the Diamondbacks might go ahead and take matters in their own hands.
I bet he is more well known to a lot of common fans over here than Patrick Mahomes.
I bet he is too.
Absolutely.
I bet he is too.
Remember remember when I said that like 3 weeks ago and you guys yelled at me?
You said that about Americans, though.
I
still disagree with you about Americans.
I said the world, but that's possible.
You said the world of America.
My world is one country.
I didn't know there was a world outside of America until this morning when I got here.
It's interesting though that you're there in a place that calls themselves the economic capital of the country.
Financial
capital of the country, because I thought St. Louis claimed that.
Germany?
Yeah. I thought they went ahead and
Mick, just laugh. It's a funny joke.
Went and claimed
that's a good one.
Financial capital of Germany too. So they just claim it.
No, that's a good one. I've been to Munich. These are very different towns. It feels like Munich is more in tune with its history, and Frankfurt is. I'm like, no, we're all speaking English. Okay, we're building tall buildings.
No, don't worry. You don't have to speak German to get around here. Okay, we're fine.
No, I haven't. There are a lot of things here that are different. Like you don't. So twice we have just blindly gone into a parking garage. Like, okay, we'll just pay when we get out, and we'll go to the arm, and there's nowhere to play. Pay, you can't pay. We're just stuck, and we had to back out and tick people off, and you go pay at a different place. And we barely found the last one. We're like, what are we doing? We should learn by now. I guess it's faster you pay before you go, unless you have idiots like us who are just clogging up the line, looking to pay. Also, you carry your passport with you at all times, and you better have it signed. It is a $3,000 fine if they catch you with a passport unsigned here.
I learned about the signing of the passport thing in my international.
Don't you have to have it signed to go through
Guys, they haven't completely chilled out over here. All right, I mean, that's pretty new. I take a couple lifetimes. I haven't completely chill yet over here.
I was going to say, that's quite a racket. That's quite a hefty, expensive signature.
Sorry, I'm sorry, sir. I don't see a signature. It's right there. I don't see it.
What if I sign it right now? Can you cut it down to $1,500?
That's right. I don't see it. It's literally already signed. I don't see that. Here's your ticket. Show up in court and show them that it's signed. Yeah, but it's already signed. Prove it. You can't prove it, can you? That's right.
Show up in German court. Your date is set for early March. Just swing on by.
Just come on back. Yeah. Do you recognize any of the words in German that people were yelling at you when they had to back up for you to back out to go and pay somewhere else to get out of that garage?
We went up to the Mine Tower today, which is this 56-story observation deck. You see the entire city. It's really cool. Did a bunch of stand-ups up there, got a bunch of video, but we got it with our phone. And we kind of anticipated this and a GoPro because they wouldn't let us take our big hulking camera up there and our tripod. And so like, okay. And so we kind of prepared for it. But, yeah, as we were going through, and the lady said something Amerikaner. And I don't think it was, nice things. It's so funny. I took,
I love these Americans.
That's what she is. Ich lebe Amerikaner.
Yes.
And so I took a couple weeks of babble, right, leading up to this, and have twice said hola to people.
If you get anyone's way, just say pardon.
Pardon. Parlez-vous?
Excusez-moi.
I'm sorry. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. That sounds easy.
I was trying to say big. I said grande. I'm like, that is not right. Hold on.
Venti?
Came up with the word for big, which is grossa.
So how are you? He said, muy bien. I mean, darn it. I'm okay. 9. No.
Good day, mate.
Good eye, mate. Oh, you're from Austria. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie. I love Austria.
The neighboring country, Austria.
I love your accent. All right, Mick. We'll continue to get some sleep here very soon.
Yeah, I got to stay up a few more hours to just push through it. Beer's not helping. But
it's not helping you.
Neither is this show. So
there you go. We try to do what we can to help people sleep along the way.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not putting you to sleep for once.
Yeah, I mean, Charles Amenahu said that he doesn't really ever sleep, and I'm like, just download the podcast, dude. What are you doing? We're trying to help you out, man. We are trying to get the Chiefs to the promised land, man. Come on. Mick Schaefer there in Germany. Mick, you're the man. Appreciate it. Have some fun. We'll certainly be enjoying the work brought back and that apple wine story that I know you're very excited about.
I can't wait. Try some apple wine.
There you go. There's Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 sports director. And how about the championship, the yacht that's there? So when you're there, you can say you're going to the ship. And you'd be like, no, you actually are going to a ship. The championship and then the pep rally on Saturday filled with Chiefs fans from all over Europe there. That's pretty cool. I do love the origin stories of people that are fans of the Chiefs randomly in completely different countries halfway across the world, and somehow they are rooting with the fandom that we're rooting for, except we don't have to wake up at like 4 a.m. to watch a game or something like that. You know?
Did you actually see the championship? Have you
I
seen
haven't
it
seen
now?
it. No, I have not.
There are 4 players on it around the Lombardi Trophy. Do you want to guess who the 4 guys are?
I am going to say Patrick Mahomes.
Ding.
I'm going to say Travis Kelce.
Ding.
I'm going to say, just to throw a wrench in there, Tyreek Hill. Oh, darn it.
Not on this one.
I will say, does a coach count?
There's no coaches. All 4 players.
Chris Jones.
Chris Jones is on it.
And Nick Bolton.
You got it, baby. Those
Ding,
are your
ding.
4. Ding, ding.
Ding, ding. Ding, ding.
Thanks. Harmonized.
Where's the ship going to park? You think it'll find a parking spot? Ding, ding. Easy to spot. Not as easy to park. What you got? Ding, ding.
You know,
parking spot in Frankfurt, Germany.
In Germany, the parking spot would actually just be the Parkplatz.
Ding, ding. That's right.
All one word. Parkplatz.
Nailed it.
Parkplatz.
The time and temperature brought to you by the Parkplatz. Easy to park, easy to plot. Parkplatz it. Main River.
It's funny that Mick has actually had trouble with his Parkplatz in Germany already.
On the Main River. Just called the Main River, which is easy to know which one you're talking. Which river? The Main River. Well, not that one over. No, the Main River. The Main. That's a smaller river. It's the Main River. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Speaking of Tyreek Hill, he was on a I Am Athlete podcast and said a few things about, you know, Mike McDaniel versus Andy Reid and the differences there, which I thought were interesting. Went into another couple of points about the trade, how it went down, and Pat v. Tua, or Patrick Mahomes or Tua. And then also, I think we are in a unique situation this go-around than we've really ever been in before in building up and leading up to a game with not only a particular opponent, but a particular player on said opponent. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. You know, I do wonder, like Todd Lebo just stopped into the studio, and I wonder, did Todd Lebo stop in the studio to talk about logistics for Friday's press conference and everything that'll take place during our show at some time, but you're talking about more of a closer to a Super Bowl press conference than a regular press conference. They're going to have lots of players at different areas that people can go up and talk to, which is like the Super Bowl. They're going to have players at a podium, et cetera, on Friday. So we're talking that. But while we're here, he's eating Whataburger in the studio here. So I wonder, did he stop in to talk logistics, or did he stop in to eat, and then while he was eating, he figured, well, while I'm here, I might as well just talk a little bit, or do I give an excuse that I'm going to talk logistics with these guys to come in and eat some Whataburger that was dropped off a little bit earlier today that we have been enjoying really since Andy Reid started talking, and I was okay with him going longer in the press conferences because that gave me a longer opportunity to enjoy the Whataburger.
What a blessed day it is.
What
a blessed day it is to have Whataburger here. The onion rings I hadn't had before, fantastic, and there's something special about forgetting that there's going to be magically appearing Whataburger midday, which is the case for me. I had like a sad granola bar for breakfast and just kind of, just trying to drag through my day. And then, hey, don't forget, Whataburger's going to be here in 10 minutes. And I've been on a cloud ever since then.
I didn't forget it.
I'm so happy. Everything was wonderful. The shakes they've got right now, wonderful. And, we're trying to learn more German as we get ready for this game this week.
Yeah.
So I thought I would go ahead and bring you the German translation for what we had for lunch today.
Right.
Hamburger. Now, everyone want to try to guess what that was? One more time.
Hamburger.
Any
Onion
guesses?
Ring. Onion ring.
Dylan?
Shake.
Unfortunately, that was hamburger in German.
Dang it.
I got one more for you, though.
It was actually hamburger, so I'm not as big of a fan of what they got going on in Germany. No wonder they go with the bratwurst, because just stay away from the hamburger, okay? Hamburger.
Here's another one for you if you'd like. You could also order it this way.
Käseburger.
Queso burger? I'll take queso burger right now.
Käseburger.
What is that?
Käseburger. Käseburger.
I don't know.
Queso burger
sounds great.
Actually extremely close.
Well, I had a chili cheese burger
Well, I'll have
from
to add the
Whataburger.
chili, but that's cheeseburger.
So I had the chili cheese burger from Whataburger. That was my choice that I was able to try.
And the chili cheese fries.
And the chili cheese fries as well. So the chili cheeseburger that also had the Fritos on there. You get the chili, you get the cheese, you get the double hamburger, double from Whataburger.
But that's
Yes,
pretty good. Just sort of linguistic dart throwing of Kase and queso being relatively close together, both meaning cheese. Here's what you had actually, Jason.
What?
Chili Käseburger.
Chili queso burger.
I mean,
how do you pronounce chili in German?
Chili Käseburger.
Chili.
It's spelled CHILI according to Google Translate.
I would never be able to figure that one out.
I will make it retranslate to make sure I'm not just typing it an American way. And this is where we have arrived with chili queso burger.
Chili queso burger. That's what I had, and it was dynamite, and the shake as well. And I had an onion ring, and I had the fries, and I've eaten too much already, so I'm just going to go ahead and let the missus, the bride, know that I don't know. I don't really need to worry about any food for me tonight.
Look, if I could find one more,
find it.
Zwiebelring.
I'd probably eat it. Just one more.
Zwiebelring.
What is that?
That's onion ring.
Oh, nice.
Zwiebelring.
Sweet. Oh, the ring. I should have got the ring.
It seems like German is
that's right.
Intuitable. I feel like you can find your way through some German.
Speaking of Tua,
hey,
he'll be throwing to Tyreek Hill.
Let's go.
And
good segue.
Tyreek was on the I Am Athlete pod. And let's play the one. This is a longer cut. It's about it's almost 4 minutes, and it's he goes through some of the details of how the trade went down, what all took place with that. I know we've heard a lot of the details, but there are a few more in this one as just and also an interesting character that almost had him going to the New York Jets, which was a real surprise, just totally out of left field. So take a listen. Here's Tyreek Hill was asked, okay, how'd you end up in Miami? This is I Am Athlete pod with who was the wide receiver with the Miami Dolphins, and then Brandon Marshall. Almost said Brandon Williams, but Brandon Marshall.
Refer to a completely different podcast, so I'm glad I kept my mouth shut.
So Brandon Marshall, who, by the way, did a really good job of the interviews. Here he is talking about how the trade went down.
It was a situation where
like my agent was trying to bait KC into giving me a contract. The idea was to never leave, KC. And that's the first thing I told my agent, by the way. I was like, got on the phone. He was like, Reek, I'm going to fly down to you tomorrow. We're going to talk about our plan of attack to how we're going to get you a new contract in KC. And, I was like, look, as long as I don't get traded, because we just lost in the AFC Championship, I'm trying to get back at the Bengals, bro. It's like, okay, cool. We're not going to get traded. We just going to get you a new deal. So cool. He fly down the next day. We talk and stuff like that. We still on the same page. He get on the phone with Brett Veach, and he's like, Veach, look, we're going to be forced to ask for a trade if you don't give Reek a contract. Veach is like, okay, like yada, 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 let's talk numbers. So they talk numbers. Pat called me first. Me and Pat get on the phone. We like, Reek, we going to take care of you, bro. I said, bro, just take care of me, bro. I don't got to be the highest paid. Just make the guaranteed sound right, and we good. Then Andy called me. Andy was like, hey, yeah, man, we going to take care of you. Like, obviously, like, we want to get you on a team friendly. I said, I'm cool with that. I think it can be $24 million long as the money sound right, $25 million long as the guaranteed sound right. That's all I want, guaranteed. So that's when things began to go left, because my agent, you know how Drew Rosenhaus is. He going for the juggler. He like, look, we need that guaranteed money, dog. So the Chiefs weren't budging at all. That's when, I guess the trade began to, come into, Drew's head. It was like, Reek, we're gonna get you traded for what you deserve.
Your
I'm
value.
like, what do I deserve? He's like, bro, you deserve at least $70 million, bro. Like, he's like, I've been with you for 4 years now. Like, and I see the potential. Like, but you know how agents talk though. Like, they just want the money. But me and Drew, like, we got a real personal relationship off the field though. Like, we done became almost like brothers, and it's crazy. So it come to the trade. The first two teams that come to mind, I told him, I said, I want to play in Miami though if I do get traded. Because when I play on Madden, I used to always trade myself to Miami. Yeah, I used to always want to play on Miami because of Dan Marino, man, and Pat Surtain, and all the great players that came through here, Ricky Williams, all the great players. So I got to get to Miami. He's like, okay. Miami called, they offered. Then the Jets called, and then they offered. I'm like, okay, I can go to the Jets. Then I can be with Adam Sandler, because I'm a huge Adam Sandler fan. I want to go into acting when I'm done. So I'm like thinking about that too. I'm like, man, either I can go to New York and be with Adam Sandler, or I can be with the Jets. So Miami offered like 70 the first day. The Jets offered like 68. So I'm sitting there thinking, you said, just think about it. Then the Jets came back and offered like 76 guaranteed. I'm just randomly speaking. I think it was more guaranteed than what the Dolphins offered. But then, the more I began to talk, my mom was like, hey, you need to think about not only Adam Sandler, but you need to think about them state taxes too. Mom was right. Mom, she was like, look, I know you love Adam Sandler. He made the little basketball movie, but you need to think about, off the field. It was just like, man, my dream is here though, in Miami. Like
But not really. Your dream was to stay in KC.
And the dream was to stay in KC.
What did they?
So they offered.
What was their final offer?
Their final offer was close to like 58 million, guaranteed, and it was like, we can't sign that. So then we just signed with Miami, and I feel like everything happens for a reason. Our great God is never wrong. I think it was just one of those situations that, I just needed to be, me. I just needed to be free. Like, let me show my personality. That's something that my parents always taught me. Show your personality. And ever since I've been in Miami, I've been able to show my personality.
So no regrets?
No regrets. No regrets at all, man. I'm glad, everything happened that way. I'm glad that, I believed in myself, and coming to Miami.
So there you go. The baiting Kansas City for a new contract from Drew Rosenhaus to bring up the trade, but not actually wanting a trade. And choosing Miami despite his love of Adam Sandler. I want to be around Adam Sandler. I want to go be a Jet so I can be around Adam. Was he going to live with Adam Sandler if he went to the Jets?
He wasn't going to play with Dan Marino or Ricky Williams or Pat Surtain either. What a weird...
But also...
I was expecting a football player, to be clear, when he was talking about the Jets.
But also, when he plays Madden... Even when he was with the Chiefs, he would trade himself to the Dolphins so he could be a player on the Dolphins.
Because of Dan Marino and Pat Surtain and Ricky Williams, though.
who wouldn't be throwing him the football. Does he trade Patrick Mahomes to the Dolphins too, just to wear a Dolphins uniform?
Maybe some ultimate team kind of stuff, getting one of those legacy rosters going, so it is coming from Dan Marino.
But Brandon Marshall did a really good job in the interview.
Great job.
And even there when he was like, well, this is the dream, and then Brandon Marshall was like, well, no, it wasn't. The dream was to stay in Kansas City. Like, hold on. You can't say the dream is Miami when you started by saying the whole thing was to stay in KC. And he's like, well, yeah, I mean, sure, if you're going to call me out on that.
Right.
I guess, yes, if you want to hold me to the words I used earlier, then, want to be a jerk about the whole thing. But said that the best offer Kansas City gave him in guaranteed money was $58. He signed for $72.2 million guaranteed, which at the time was the highest guaranteed dollars for a wide receiver. It has been surpassed by one player, more guaranteed dollars, and that has been Cooper Kupp, who signed for $75 million guaranteed. But he's also the fourth highest in average guaranteed per year.
Yeah.
Because he signed a 4-year deal with $72.2 million guaranteed. Cooper Kupp is the most because Cooper Kupp signed a 3-year, 75. So his average guaranteed is 25 per year. DK Metcalf signed a deal, and this is all, by the way, I'm just using contracts of last offseason.
Since Tyreek Hill.
So March 8th from Mike Williams signed his deal, March 16th when Christian Kirk signed his deal, to July 31st when Deebo Samuel. And all 11 of those players in there, the 11 wide receivers that were in order of signing their contract: Mike Williams, Christian Kirk, DJ Moore, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp, Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel. All signed contracts last year. Tyreek Hill is the fourth highest of the annual or the average guaranteed money per year at $18 million guaranteed per year. DK Metcalf at 19.4, Deebo at 19.37, then Tyreek at 18. That's a far cry from the $25 million per for Cooper Kupp. They went above and beyond to the Rams for Cooper Kupp. But it was just interesting that $58 million was what the Chiefs offered. And by the way, A.J. Brown signed his contract 4 years for $57.2 million guaranteed. Which is something interesting to keep in mind when we know that the Chiefs were trying to trade for A.J. Brown.
That is interesting. Oh, man, I just got a little sad.
Because apparently the deal that maybe they were looking at giving Tyreek Hill is the deal that they were probably looking at giving A.J. Brown. But
and in terms of the money the Dolphins did give him, you could essentially cut out the guarantees that get added to that age 32 year where his cap hits $56 million that he will not be on the team for, where the Chiefs would have essentially had Tyreek Hill under contract for like 3 real years without a huge punishment for getting out of year 4, which is kind of what the Dolphins ended up with on that extension. It's kind of interesting.
Here he is weighing in, and this is where I didn't keep the question in here. But Brandon Marshall asked him the question, Patrick Mahomes or Tua, and Tyreek is like, man, I don't know. And he's like, no, answer it. Answer it. Patrick or Tua, who are you taking as your quarterback right now? I need an answer. Don't give me political answer. Don't give me that. Tyreek Hill, you're a football player. Answer the question. Patrick Mahomes or Tua?
Well, we all know, man, Pat is still the best quarterback in the NFL, obviously, man. Like, what he does is just something that no quarterback in this league can copy. His ability to create plays when there aren't plays to make is just ridiculous. And then just the arm talent and just, him being him, and it's just crazy. Now, you would think that a receiver like me would want to play, would like that, right? But I'm in Miami. I'm with Tua, man. I'm living the life, man. Tua is accurate. He's on time. He's ball is right here, quarterback friendly. Like, so I got to go with my boy Tua, man. I love Pat. He's the best quarterback in the league, but I got to go with my boy One, man. One is different. Because if I don't say it, then he's not going to throw me the ball. Nah, but I'm going One anyways.
And that's a tough situation, though, like, and it's hard because, like, I don't know if you might be pushing 2,000 yards if you was with Patrick Mahomes, too.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think Pat has an opportunity to go down as definitely going to go down as the best thrower of the football ever.
Oh.
But he has an opportunity, if he can win a couple more, as the best quarterback ever.
This dude different, bro. Patrick Mahomes is different. Like, me being able to just witness that each and every day, like the way he just creates, the way he thinks, and the way he practices. Like, I just love the way he practices.
Explain.
Like, his mindset is like, it's so hard to explain. Like, his mind, like, I seen this dude come in the locker room. We was playing the Saints. Like, he had got sacked like 7 times and a half. Like, he came into the locker room cussing everybody out. I'm like, yo, I got my headphones in. I'm like vibing, like we losing at halftime. I'm vibing. He letting the whole offense have it. I got my headphones in, but I hear him. He like, man, y'all got to block, man, or y'all got to get out the fucking game. I'm like, okay, this is what I signed up for. I love that kind of energy right there, man. So, Pat, man, like he's a different character whenever it comes to like football, man, and just seeing him being able to switch that and just change hats and then be a father is just amazing. Just amazing, man.
What's the most freakish thing that you've seen Patrick Mahomes do?
Man, I would say a no-look 60-yard bomb. Crazy. No-look 60-yard bomb.
I've been getting goosebumps telling people the story about Aaron Rodgers in the 7-on-7 tournament, where that's the first time I seen a dude throw a no-look 40-yard bomb.
Well, Pat just upped him 20 yards.
So no, that's what I'm saying. Like, why I didn't know anybody else did that?
It's all in practice, bro. It's crazy, bro. Just seeing the things that bro used to do, and it's like, bro, like
a no-look 60-yard bomb,
bro. Like, where did they make you at, bro? Crazy. He's different.
Where did they make you at? That was a great line by Tyreek. But saying, look, Patrick's the best ever. I'm going with Tua because then he won't throw me the football. But then also saying, look, it's a little different in the way the ball heads my way. The one thing that he said that I noted was, he's accurate. He's on time.
Yep. Timing
which is
again,
what
rhythm again.
Charles Omenihu, Drew Tranquil, timing. That stood out earlier. And then hearing both Drew Tranquil and Charles Omenihu talk about the timing of the offense, that they are a timing and a rhythm offense, and Tua is very accurate, and the timing of his throwing the ball, and then that's one of the first things that Tyreek talked about is, a very receiver-friendly football. He's on time, accurate, things like that for Tua, as opposed to the best in the league and not sure where he was made.
Yeah, I think that's the best he's answered that question so
I
far
agree.
after a few passes at it. And I do understand there's a difference between being a super fast guy who has to track the deep ball to a guy who's going to get more yak opportunities. He got plenty in Kansas City, to be clear. Yeah. But a lot more of the offense is kind of pointed that direction, and I understand why that would also be very fun for him, and he probably isn't hitting 2,000 yards in Kansas City.
Next one was Brandon Marshall saying, all right, putting you on the spot again. Give me an answer. Andy Reid or Mike McDaniel, but also sort of the difference between Andy Reid as a coach and Mike McDaniel as a coach.
Well, I'm going to give you my explanation on both. Like, Coach Reid is obviously,
he goated.
He goated. Definitely goated. He wanted the gurus of the offensive mindset. You feel me? Like the way he's able to, call plays at the right time, like set up plays and stuff like that. He's real good at setting stuff up. You feel me? But Coach McDaniel, like his creativity is like mad. He's like, man, I got all these gadgets and I want to use them, and it's like each and every week we don't know what to expect. Like it's like, okay, is Reek going in motion, or is Devon or Waddle or Raheem? Like who's getting the ball? You feel me? So I don't know. That's a tough one, man. Like both of them are so good at what they do, man.
It ain't a tough one. You know the answer.
Andy Reid.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Andy. I gotta go Andy, man, because Andy, he's like the father of just offense, man.
Right.
And Coach McDaniel, he's still young.
He could potentially eclipse
and learning. Yeah, obviously, yes.
Right.
But we gotta win some Super Bowls, though.
Gotta win some Super Bowls.
Gotta win some bowls, though.
So there you go. Again, I thought Brandon Marshall did a fantastic job, because even then he's like, you know the answer. Come on, you know the answer. What's the answer? It's Andy Reid. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for just giving me the answer. That's all I asked was, what's the answer? All right, I'm going with Andy Reid. And yeah, Mike McDaniel could surpass him. Of course he could. They got to win some Super Bowls. But also in that answer about, like Tua or Pat, when Brandon Marshall was like, yeah, well, you wouldn't be pacing for 2,000 yards with the Chiefs. No, he wouldn't. Which kind of goes back to what Andy Reid said last year when, it kind of worked out for everybody. We got the draft picks and Tua got a lot of yards and stats. And Tyreek got a lot of yards and stats. So he got his money and yards. That's what he said. And Tyreek got his money and a lot of yards, which was a little shade, but also true, because Tyreek's got a lot of money and he's pacing for 2,000 yards. He could break the wide receiver record this year for most receiving yards in a season. And he wouldn't be doing that with the Chiefs. Let's be honest. That just would not be the case right now. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. You know, something's going to be interesting about the matchup coming up this weekend. It's from Petra comes your way at 2 o'clock. That's also interesting about the matchup this weekend. But, I was thinking, like, when have we been in a position watching the Chiefs where they're going up against a player like a Tyreek Hill that is a future Ring of Honor, future Hall of Famer, still in his prime, playing at that high level, at that position, with a game that matters like this? I think this is the only one I can think of that is to this extreme degree that it's just going to feel like, I don't know if awkward's the right term.
Yeah.
We've watched Tyreek from afar, but it's the first time we'll watch Tyreek on the field going up against the Chiefs defense and having to live the life what other defenses have had to live while we've watched Tyreek throughout the years.
And there's so much in the thing that always amplifies any sports moment, which is stakes. Like it's why playoff games stick in our mind more, and championships stick in our mind, and late season games and all of that. And there's some real stakes on this game. I mean, it's a mid-season regular season game, and it does not feel like it. Even the way that, like we've talked about, the way that both teams are doing presses this week, that's going to feel like a Super Bowl week type of deal. So yeah, we were kind of kicking around in the break. Like I think your Neil Smith reference is a great
one.
one.
The 97 is one I could think of.
But it's not quite the same for a number of it doesn't check a number of those boxes.
Right.
Tony Gonzalez would have been really, really close, but he was almost at the end of his career at that point when he faced off with the Chiefs.
2012, week number 1. That was the Romeo Crennel year. And a season in which the Chiefs were getting ready to get the number 1 pick in the draft because they were going to be that bad.
Terrible.
Tony Gonzalez had 2 years remaining on his career at that point. Like, I mean, it was cool. Like, hey, Tony Gonzalez is returning, but there were no expectations about how good the Chiefs could be that year. And he comes in and 53 yards and a touchdown, and they leave with a victory, and no big deal.
And I mean, part of it
but
is
he wasn't
also,
in his prime either.
Right.
Yeah.
Part of it is that the Chiefs don't have a lot of guys who have been this good. Offensive weapons who are future Hall of Famers. The one guy who I think could have twisted the knife would have been Jamal Charles.
Yes.
If he, post-injuries, maybe would have had a real renaissance, sticks on with the Broncos. That could have had some of those heartbreaking moments of like Jamal Charles houses a 70-yard run at Arrowhead wearing a Broncos uniform. That could have been heartbreaking.
Instead,
but that never actually happened.
Instead, it was 8 carries, 39 yards in Jamal Charles' return to play the Chiefs.
It hurt just to see him in that uniform.
Yeah.
But there were none of the other factors that Tyreek is going to be able to have on Sunday.
And let me say, I will gladly take 8 receptions, 39 yards for Tyreek Hill on Sunday.
If you are going to force the issue, I'll go ahead and take it. Give him a touchdown off that, too, and I'll still go ahead and make that deal.
8:39 and a tutty, as the kids call it. There you go. We'll talk some more about
that. What's that? 400 yards rushing. Oh, no!
Well, I didn't say that. Now you're just cheating.
Cheating.